Tony, you're leaning the wrong way.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
If you want to get behind if you want to get to the side of
Not on
the
my screen. It was
yeah,
and
you
showing.
have to
use
do
it,
the opposite.
you
For
have
me,
to
I
do
didn't
the
see you at
opposite.
all,
Yeah.
so maybe it's yeah.
You have to do the opposite. Welcome everybody to the Sunday show. I'm calling it the full circle, right? Arsenal fan circle, the full enchilada, the full anything, the full turd, if you want to call it that, if you feel it that the season that was that. But yeah, we are talking about on the greens in the backstage area. Yeah, eerily similar to last season, where last season we beat Chelsea away, we beat Man United at home, but then we lost to Tottenham, Newcastle, and won the last game. So there's crazy likenesses to the previous season, but I'm going to say we were fighting for the title this time, and last time we were fighting for top four. We didn't make it either way, but like, we can look back at this season at the moments that were, and we'll have a little bit of banter, a little bit of fun, a little bit of maybe toward the end the stark realization of we had it in our hands and we slipped away. And the two seasons can be similar because Mikel Arteta basically ran the same players into the ground. And I'm always thinking of what Gary says. It's in my brain, Gary. Um,
I,
rotation,
I
rotation,
I started
rotation.
saying it before Gary. Come on.
Okay, I'll let you two fight that one out, but that'll be part of it. As people are joining us, let's have a little bit of a chat about the news that just broke, Gary. And I'll start with you. Was that we have a new Spurs manager in place to laugh about, and this is the Celtic manager. I like Celtic, but I'm not going to be supporting the manager that's going in there, and we're hoping for another crap show. Uh, Gary,
Yep, yep. Well, I'm gonna say hello to everybody in the chat. Stephen, I see Spencer and the assembled that joined us. Welcome to
yes.
the show. Yep, thanks Spencer for the comments on the show yesterday. But yeah, no, I think they're supposed to be a big club, right? A big club. So you go out there and you try to get the best, and you think that's what we wanted at our place. We want to go out and get the big a big not necessarily a big name, but a big time manager coach. He might be successful, but I think if you're coaching the Celtic, right, it
Hmm.
typically it's like you're going in there with your cards loaded already. All right, the name seems to draw a lot of players in it, and the team seems to be pretty successful. So it's not. Did he actually change anything, or he just get them back to where they were, in previous years? It's different. Like he's going to a team that. When was the last time they were significant? Where
In the in
when you
the
like
discussion,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a while ago. Like it's a long time ago, and not in the Premier League era did they look like a team that was battling and battling and battling with the big boys, and succeeding. That's the trick. You might be battling, but if you never succeed, it works. So he's gonna. I mean, I look at this the same way I looked at it when they brought in Nuno. They're bringing in a manager they're gonna have to back him, support him, and do right by him if they want it to work. Right? He's coming from a club that had some of the best players probably in the Scottish league playing for him. The only way this works
yeah,
again is if they have some of the best players in the world playing for him.
yeah.
They have if they keep Kane, they have one of the best strikers in the world playing for him. But there's a lot of other holes they need to fix. So yeah,
You
I
have a
yeah
Go ahead.
yeah
You have a good manager in the Scottish league, but who came from Scotland and went to Aston Villa was the legend Stephen Gerrard. He didn't really help Aston Villa. Brendan Rodgers came from Celtic to Leicester, had some success with a decent team,
yeah.
and but now they've gone down with Leicester City. So I believe this manager is probably of the Brandon Rodgers ilk, and he may get something out of that team. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to be that great. And it's going to be another fun ride, Tony, for us this season watching that team down the road.
Yeah, just as long as you don't say roller coaster.
Hey, I'm going to say roller coaster. Every season is a roller coaster, and that's what we're here. We're going to be here talking about the roller coaster of emotions. It started off with highs, and we had a couple of dips, and we really dipped toward the end.
I thought you were to start off with a new Chelsea manager since we haven't talked about that yet.
Well, that's Pochettino, and he's had the job for weeks now. So that's a slow burner. We'll find out what 50 players, which 11 from those 50 players he's going to use. Anything else, Tony?
No, those managers generally do a fairly good job, but it's about the board backing it. They definitely didn't do that with Nuno. He was kind of set up to fail. You have the players to buy it in for a few games. And the first game they played against City was kind of a masterclass. Then after that, it was just a train wreck. I don't think it had anything to do with the manager.
Yeah, and these Hamble said, Spencer, this Celtic manager, Stan, will have his work cut out with Tottenham and those players down the road.
Well, it's quite funny because I have a few friends that support these teams up in Scotland. One of them in particular is a Rangers fan. And as you know, Rangers and Celtic do not get on. And he's constantly sending me, I don't know why, he knows I support Arsenal, but he's constantly sending me stuff about Celtic. So basically what I can tell you about Celtic Football Club is that they've just recently had their 9th member of staff / ex-member of staff convicted for child abuse. So that's really all I can tell you about Celtic, is that there seem to be a bunch of fiddlers up there.
Wow.
Next question.
Yeah, sounds like we move on now. You just basically killed that. You just
The
killed
mood
that
has been
conversation.
killed.
I'm not lying. I'm making it up.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where you should have led with that, so we could have moved on.
That's a big dip to start off with, but we'll get in it. We'll see what happens at Tottenham and under Daniel Levy and the trajectory they're going to take. Craig here said my missus said she's kicking me out because of my obsession with Only Fools and Horses. I said, okay, I'll fetch a suitcase from the van.
In fact, it's really strange that he put that, because just this morning, my missus is threatening to leave me because of my obsession with horse racing. Hold on a minute, she's at the gate and she's off.
All right, very.
All I know is somebody thinks you just called her a horse, and I think that's
probably
where
she went out.
It's going to be that kind of show.
She heard you, Stan. You know how this thing works. Right, there's a little tinkling, like the spider senses just went off, and like, yeah, I'll get him when I get home. That's what's going on right now. So lock yourself in your room, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, listen, it's gonna be a good ride anyway. So we'll get there. Let's hear from the chat room. What memorable moments do you want to share from the past season? It could be one of our discussions. It could be one of our podcasts. It could have been Tony's obsession with Saliba never playing for Arsenal. It could be Tony's obsession with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Tony's got a lot of obsessions, right, Tony?
You forgot my biggest one.
I'm scared now. What is that?
Mr. Chambers and his curly locks.
Yes. Where did his career go? Has he played for Aston Villa this season?
Yeah, he's been playing.
He's been playing. Okay. All right. So listen, we have a few weeks until the new fixtures are released on June 15th, and we'll sort of be scaling it back for about a month here to maybe one show a week. And I'm going to be going to Ireland next week. So with that being said, let's look backwards a little bit, Gary, and the season that was. And I learned a very important lesson from Tony for the first game at Crystal Palace, to not get too caught up in other people's opinions on Twitter. And Tony trying to tell me we had no control for that Crystal Palace game. So what were your thoughts on the Friday night we played the first game of the season at Selhurst Park? Tony, Gary. Gary.
Oh, we
finally Tony wanted to go, so go ahead.
Finally got a win against him. It was better. Second game we didn't play as good. The first one we controlled fairly well. Yeah.
My memory of that first game was the the set piece coach, Nicholas Jover, with a corner to Sinchenko. The header came back. Quite nice routine, and Martinelli getting his first goal, Gary, to set off the season.
Yeah, no, that's weird. My memory's not so good. But I do remember that game more because we had I guess we had to put Ben White in at right back, right? Because of was it injuries once again, something like that, and
Another happy accident.
and Saliba gets to start at center backs, which I don't think because I think going into that season, the talk was, well, we got Saliba now, will he get to play? And as you said, happy accident once again with our center back, right? Similar thing happened a couple of years before that for Margalez, and injury brought him into the starting lineup, and he pretty much sat there the whole season playing. So once again, same thing happens. But I think we all saw Saliba and thought he was going to be good anyway. So it's just a matter of when does he get a start, and he got it in the first game, and he showed us some good things there. I think. I always remember Ben White, like going up against Saha. He did an okay job. There were a couple of times he got by him, but there was Saliba there to make sure nothing happened. Right. I believe we probably had once again some shots that we could have made. I mean, that's probably typical of the way the season went. That first game might have been, I think those where we kind of missed opportunities to score. But or to even get to the chance to score, and but yeah, no, 2-0 on the road, you'll take that, right? Because everybody going in said it was just going to be a tough game for us, and to shut clean sheet and score a goal, and they gave us one essentially with their own goal. But yeah, no, it was a good start, and you're like hoping for more of that to come. And Saliba, boom.
Right away.
Start out with a bang.
Yeah.
And he looked good.
Yeah. As Stephen said, you have to know we will start the season at Luton Town. Stan, this one reminded me, we were reminded of Brentford, the first game of the season, previous season, and going to Selhurst Park, and we'd lost 3-0 at Selhurst Park. So it was quite a nice, satisfactory win to get 2-0 clean sheet on the first Friday of the season.
I mean, what you were saying about last season and Brentford, and I'll just take your word for it, mate, because there's one thing that I've never been able to do, and that is to go back more than 3 matches and tell you who started, what the score was, who done the corners, who did this, who did that. So if we're going down that road, I'll probably just be sitting and listening to it all because I don't retain that information.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to ask me what Bill Bixby said when he was playing David Banner in the second episode of the Incredible Hulk TV show from the 1970s, I could probably rule all of that off.
Sure. Oh, you remember that stuff?
Yeah.
I remember which stuff that I shouldn't remember. The stuff that I should remember just goes into one ear and out of the other.
Yeah.
So I'll just take your word for it. But I know that we won the game because we won most of them at the beginning of the season. We didn't lose for ages. So I know that we started off and that we won, which was a nice.
Now we can go quite quickly through the first 5 games as well. We
won them, didn't we?
Yeah, we won. We won the first 5. We came right out of the gate with 15
That's my
points.
contribution then for the first 5 games.
The next game, then 3 points in the bag.
It's funny. I have notes for the game because I guess I went back and watched it again. But I just remember Anderson making these long passes because that was the only way to beat us. And you know what? Thinking of how teams had to get by us sometimes, I think that was the case, right? Those long balls they were using. That was, I don't know, it was precursor to what happened towards the end of the season where they kind of tried to bypass our midfield and just put these long balls in and be able to beat us, right? And that was in that game because I actually highlighted it in my notes. Anderson with a long ball, and that's what he did a lot of times to get the ball past. Yeah, to get into an attack in formation there. So yeah, I'd like to say hi to Sam. Riddy has joined us. Welcome to the show. Craig, Arsenal Forever. Welcome to the show.
Yep. Craig said when Arsenal have a chance to get rid of deadwood or average players, they hand them new contracts. Why is that? Yeah. We're going to try to get through all of this in about 90 minutes. So we're going to go quick broad
on that one, I don't
through each game.
Like we gave Mari, give Cedric, give Holding all 4 year
Mhm.
You know, just
Well, that's going to be for another time, Tony. We'll keep going. For me, my memory of the next game, Leicester City at home. Gabriel Jesus, a lovely dink over the goalkeeper. But then also, Saliba had an own goal, which, the crowd now were getting behind those players, the Arsenal players. And sort of, if you make a mistake, you're getting G'd up again. And this is probably from the previous season when Magalhaes had a mistake as well in the Wolves game, and Ramsdale again, encouraging players, Gary. So we beat Leicester 4-2 on a nice sunny day, second win of the season, and Jesus is off the mark in the second game, and Saliba making that mistake, but we get 2 wins from 2. James Maddison scoring for them was the only riposte that Leicester City had. The third game, Gary, was Bournemouth, and Erdegaard stepping forward, because the talk had been about Erdegaard not pulling the trigger, and this is where I think Erdegaard had a determination to start scoring goals and giving some end product. So I was Bournemouth away from home when we had that Saliba song, Gary.
Yeah, and as it stands, as you did you did get going through these because I yeah can't remember all the games. I can barely remember my name. So, but no, that was as you said, Jesus came out, scored twice early in the game. Actually had an assist late in the game. Really good game, big game for him. And we kind of carried over from what we saw in the preseason, what he was going to give to us, and it was like, all right, this is cool. We get more of this, we'll be fine. All right, and 2 games in, 2 wins, 3 wins, or wherever we were, whatever game we're up to now. But yeah, no, it was good. Good start to the season, and that's what we expected, right? We're hoping that our scoring went up, and it did. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So three games from 3, and we're just going through the season here, and the moments that happened in the season, the funny things that happened in the season as well. The fourth game I think was Fulham, and this was Gabriel Magalhaes making a mistake, but making, I think, something that Gabriel was the strength of his character. He's able to come back and atone for those mistakes that he made. So making that mistake, Mitrovic scoring, we go a goal down at home, and we were able to come out of that game 2-1 with the winner. And I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Gabriel Magalhaes himself or was Saliba who scored a winning goal. And so we win that one 2-1. So this was maybe something that had been happening at home at the Emirates, Gary. Making some small mistakes, maybe a small glimpse into what we would see later in the season.
Yeah. As you go through this, I'm going back in through looking at my notes, and as you said, it was a throw-in from Saka to Martinelli, to Margules, who sat on the ball and didn't realize his surroundings, lost the ball. Mitrovic gets it, pokes it away, and scores. So it was, you have to be. I mean, as a defender, and I think this is something they have to learn. That we need them to learn. You
he
have
made
to
up
know your
for it
you
with
have to
his
know your
goal.
surroundings, and you can't lose the ball in bad areas of the pitch like he did. So.
As Reddy said, that Fulham game was our first scrappy, ugly win. I remember watching that game from Manchester. Yeah, and he puts it well there. Our first scrappy win. You know what I mean? And we were going to need some of these wins, Tony, through the season if we were going to accrue the amount of points that we did accrue.
Yeah. Like I said, that was Gabriel got the goal.
So he did atone for his mistake.
He atoned for it.
Yeah.
I think it was before this game on the Thursday show, or it might have been the next one. But I'm pretty sure it was this one when I hosted and said Arsenal were contenders for first to third place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had that protagonist or proactive
And after the
conversation.
Man United game, you said we were
Progressive.
not contenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if like I said, I didn't know how the show was going to go, but if I'm looking at my notes, and I think that first half we had like 75% possession, only one shot on target. That's why it was 0-0 at halftime. You know, you
Mhm.
gotta you kind of keep teams in the game when you can't put your shots on targets or even take advantage of all the possession you have. And
This was
that will be. I mean, these things that we're seeing early in the seasons are things that we saw late in the season as well. So did we? You know, you like to think did we get better from those type of situations? And the answer would right now be no. No, we still had similar problems. Tony will talk about shots on target throughout the entire season, and that was one of them. That first half, shots on
mhm.
target, not so good.
Here's a quite good question here. What would you say was your best game and why? And what was your worst game and why? And where do you believe it all went pear shaped? It's a lot there, Gary.
Hmm. Our
Well,
best game. Go ahead.
I thought our best game in the season, and I told you, was toward the end of the season here where we beat Newcastle away from home. That was probably our best win away from home against a team that had a very good, not only a very good defensive record, but also a very good record at home. And I thought we were able to show some bottle and show some physicality to stand up to what Newcastle are and who they are. And we ground out a win there. And, you know, it could have went either way. They could have scored early, but the Premier League is full of games like that. Um, our worst game was probably at the Etihad, you know, where we just could not live with Manchester City and the way that they were playing two up front. And as Stan usually has come to say, you know, possibly that two up front is coming back in vogue. And where did it all go pear shaped? It went pear shaped because we tried to keep rolling out the same
No, but where did it go? Where did that actually? Where is like? All right, this is the game where that situation
West Ham.
really.
If there was an actual point in the season, you know, Saka has been great for us, and he has done amazing things this season. But you've got to have a professional footballer with the mentality that he has be able to put away that penalty, and that's not just to put lay the blame squarely on his shoulders because we've made many mistakes, but that was probably the start of it. You know, it probably put a lot of seeds of doubt in the players' minds. Anfield would have started that process, but then we could have arrested that by scoring that penalty against West Ham. We go 3-1 up, and it's kind of a sliding doors moment for me.
Hmm.
There, Gary, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess for me, since I guess it's for my best, the best game for me, I felt like was the North London derby
Mm-hmm.
at the Emirates. I mean, we won 3-1, and it wasn't even close. I mean, you can see like I mean, the fact that they're pretty much shutting shop down pretty early in the game. Well, not early in the game, but basically at one point they're like, we're done. We're not gonna get anything out of this game, and they were lucky to get the goal that they did. I think that was a foul in the box or something like that. But yeah, no, I think that was for me their best because I think like that showcased exactly how we could play, and we wanted to play, and that also showcased a healthy Partey, and
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of the keys, and that's one of the key things. And the defense was really solid in that game. I mean, like I
Yeah,
said,
what?
they didn't get really much out of their offense, you know, and it's early in the season, early enough in the season to where it's not wearing down on them. So I kind of felt like that was one of our best games. In terms of our worst game, for me, I know some people look at Old Trafford and stuff, and I think for me the worst one was the Everton because I think that's one of those tests that we need to be able to pass. Like I've said it multiple times. Whenever there's a challenge put in front of us, we need to be able to break through. And that was kind of like one of the earlier challenges we had, where the season was in our. We had a lot of things in our control. We weren't. It wasn't as if we were playing bad or anything like that. And we needed to, continue what we had been doing in the league at that point. I
Mm-hmm.
think we had won, if I recall, we hadn't lost in like 2 months at that point. I mean, we had a couple of streaks where for 2 months we hadn't lost. That was another one where we didn't lose. We had just the one draw, I think. The one draw, and it does first spread out over the World Cup, I think, that one. So so we were looking good going into that game, and I don't like the new manager bounce, but we seem to let those things mentally affect us, and they
Yeah.
did once again. I mean, there's no way Everton should be able to hold us to no shots in the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
way.
that was
No way.
that was at a time they had the new manager bounce, and we also were sort of beginning to fade a little bit, maybe getting a little bit tired. We needed some players to come in from the January window and actually help us, And
Yeah.
we were transitioning from Eddie and Ketty up front to
Yeah.
using Trossard up front as well.
Sure.
Really said best game certainly was 3-2 win versus Liverpool. Worst was 3-1
Yeah.
loss at Old Trafford. So he's going with the old traditional rivalries, I think, as his
Yeah.
markers in the season.
Yeah, and for me, in terms of when things change, it's actually probably the game right before that where we had played City earlier in the season and lost. I think it was early in the
At
season,
the
right?
Emirates, yeah.
At the Emirates, we lost. I think we had lost. Did we lose? When did we play them? Actually, no. So we hadn't
lost.
played. We hadn't played them yet in the season,
Mhm.
but that was
We
the
hadn't.
first time we were going to play them. We're playing in a cup match, and for me, mentally, we needed to be able to break that trend of losing to them and break that whatever that mojo is that's on us. And I think that was an opportunity to do that. And mentally, the team needed it. And mentally, I think Arteta played it safe. And I think that hurt his team because that breaking through in City, that was an opportunity to do that. And mentally, I think that would have made a difference when we played them the next 2 times. And definitely, we played them like 2 or 3 weeks later. And losing that one the way we did, I think kind of left it still that we still have a lot of work to do to catch up. What in reality, I think if they had seen the come off the pitch against City with a win, no matter what tournament competition it was in, it's got to be a good sign. We need to be able to do that. So until we can beat City, until we can actually have competitive games where it kind of goes back and forth and you don't know who's going to win, it's going to be a challenge for us mentally more than physically. I think we have the physical traits to do it. As I said, the first, go back to that 45-minute period where we had them on the ropes. So the team, and we're better now. So if the team's better, at some point we need to be able to compete with them. It can't be like we lost to them twice, right? 3-1, 4-1, I think it is 3-1, 3-1, or 3-1,
3-1,
3-0.
4-1.
Yeah, we can't be doing that, right? So that they can't be that far. We got to pull it. We got to get closer to them in terms of competitiveness. So yeah, but I think that first City match is kind of the turning point because that kind of set up how things were going to kind of go. We kind of never. I don't think we responded for that period because we lost. We dropped points in 4 straight matches, 3 2 losses and a draw in the Premier League. And I think they were able to jump ahead of us at that point for a week or something like that because of what happened. We got it right back the next weeks because of how they played, but that's still there in the back of your mind. Got to somehow be able to beat them, and so yeah.
As Brady said, the away North London Derby victory was also a good one. A very, very competent win as well. Do we believe Edu and Arteta needs to leave? I personally don't, but this summer transfer window is critical, and for us to start getting the players that we've targeted first time, you're going to hear a lot of stuff now, and we're hearing it right now about Declan Rice and about Caicedo. Those are the 2 targets, the 2 high-profile targets that we're looking to get in. And you're going to hear a lot of newspaper talk, and you're going to hear a lot of Arsenal fans legitimately are not worried about if we're going to be able to land these 2 players. Tony, where do you stand on that thing, Edu and Arteta?
I think we need to get more football people in there. You're missing 2 people on the board. I'd put ex-players or even Wenger there if he would come back. You probably want to by the way the fans and everything treated him near the end. But I don't think it's exactly them. But I think they're. I think you have to do stuff like you got a guy that's a lawyer for players negotiations. To me, you put a football player there.
Tim Lewis.
Yeah, I just don't like that. And some of other ways we're board and backroom set up. I think it just needs more football people there. You got plenty of ex players to pick from. And that's my deal with it.
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit naive, but I want to give them too much time.
Well,
By
you
the
can't
first
change
step,
any. You're not going to change anything this summer, right?
no, I'm saying by the first international break, see where we are there, then make on who you're to cut. But this summer, I definitely make some backroom changes. And one will probably surprise everybody, but it's a glaring one is fitness. Because you see that dying off at the end of games and near the end of a season, you've seen it with pretty much the entire team.
Is that fitness or is it tiredness?
It's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Because
we definitely accept that it's tiredness due to a lack of
I
specific
remember
rotation.
when Unai came in there, first year he was in there, those players were fit as hell, looked as good as a 90th minute as a first. And that was, I think that's a lot why we went on that 27 game streak or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Without a loss was the fitness. I think we kind of lack that now. Plus, Arteta doesn't manage the players well, plays them in all the cups because he doesn't bring in youth players, doesn't bring in squad players like you're supposed to in cups. I'm afraid, like in the Champion League, he's going to do the same as he did this year. Have Saka starting Gabriel, having Gabriel with 4,000 minutes is absurd, but he stayed pretty fit. The rest of the team wasn't up for that. That's something we need to work on.
Okay, definitely. Gary, anything on Arteta, Edu, before we move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's whether we need football people. We need people that can actually do their job. Big difference. If you have number one targets, then at some point you need to be able to get those number one targets. I don't think that has anything to do with being football people. If they think they need certain players to get the job done, and that's who they're going after first, then that means that really is important to what they're trying to do with the club. And if you can't get that first player, and like right now, it seems like we can't get any of our number one targets unless we have some past relationship with them, and I don't think you can do that. I think you need to be able to sell what you're going to give to what you're going to give to you need to be able to go out there and get the players that are going to fit your system, right? Yeah.
Stan, there is always a problem with spoilers if you ever have something you want to watch later, because Reddy has let the F1 cat out of the bag in terms of the finish.
Yeah. So I don't, like I said, I don't think it's football people because they know what they want to do, and so far they've been right about a lot of things that they've been doing. They just need to execute. It's it's like we don't you need somebody like if you have a striker and they're not clinical. You just need to get a better clinical striker. You don't need to go out and get somebody who does something totally different. There's nothing. They're doing what they want to do. They just can't execute and finish the deal. So I kind of think that's the issue there. There's more execution than it is whether or not they're football people for me. As far as fitness, I think fitness is a big thing. We talk about all the time. These players need to rotate around for different reasons. Some can, like Gabriel did it this past season, but that's one out of how many players played like him, or depend on him to play like that, right? So I kind of felt like we need to be able to have a bigger squad. We barely have a squad as it is, right? So
Um,
when you can't go to your bench for one player, like for one player, which I feel is what I saw a lot of times, is he can find one player to come on to change the way the game was going. That's when I think you have a problem. I think part of that is Arteta doesn't understand what he has on the bench. Other part, I think, is we don't have sometimes those players, all the players that he might need. But I think they went out and got that. So I kind of felt like that's going to hurt you in that sense. And
so
yeah,
moving forward, then we finished a five games winning streak at the start of the season with a 2-1 win at home to Aston Villa. I remember Martinelli scoring a great winning goal
You
there.
never asked me my worst loss, best win.
because you guys went off on a tangent.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about you like the Arteta Edu question better, right?
You just wanted to talk about everything. That's
You
all.
specifically asked me that one, so.
And when
Yeah.
when it comes around, you can always insert your feedback, Tony.
He's saying you lost your chance, is what he's saying.
I lost my place in line.
Yeah, you got.
No.
You have to-
Spencer
I
said
went from the first
I'm on the
person
keep
ready to get
Shaka
on the roll
bandwagon with
so
adding Rice and Concedo.
to
Yeah,
like
so
50
keep
people
Granit
ahead of
Xhaka,
me.
add depth. All right, Tony, real quick, what was your? Because we're gonna get through to most of the season here.
To me, it was the Crystal Palace second game at 4-1 was a very good game.
Good game, yeah.
And to me, it'd probably be Everton would be the worst one, followed up by, because that one we went with a loss and a draw at Brentford. Then later on, you had the loss to Brentford and Forest. Forest almost to me is
Brighton and Forest, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of equal as the Everton loss, but
Yeah.
either
end
one
of
of
the
those
story.
and either one of those change, then we win the title.
The end of the story is not a good one. It's an Arsenal story, as they say. Okay, 5 wins out of the block, Gary. Then we go to Old Trafford, and we get caught in transition. I remember you and I going back and forth a little bit on that one with my thoughts on Sambi Lokonga. I thought he was caught out in a few positional areas, and sometimes the very simplest goals emanate from deep on the counter.
Yeah.
3-1 defeat. Saka scores to equalize after Anthony scored his. Again, we're handing out presents. Anthony gets his first goal for Manchester United against Arsenal.
Yeah. It wasn't as if they got caught out inside the defensive half. They got caught out right at the midline. I get getting caught out and having issues in midfield and all of that, but we're talking about a midfield that's on the attacking side, and defensively we got caught twice, it seemed. And you still have enough time to, if you have those players, you have enough time to recover. And we just didn't have that kind of a defensive player because we don't have a defensive player like that on the wing, on the outside, that can actually chase down a player, who's on a run, dead sprint like that. That game, we had the controversy with the first goal not going in for what turns out to be not really a big. I don't like changing the rules mid-season and going, it's actually okay now, and it's like, no, you got to be consistent. You can't be changing things in the middle of the season because you lose.
Do you feel like
the integrity, and you lose the integrity of the game when you change rules mid-season?
Do you feel like if that would happen yesterday, Gary, that would be allowed?
I thought that was that was what everybody said. I said it's not even a foul.
That wasn't really a foul.
And
That
the referee did not. He actually looked at it and said it's okay. So for me, if the referee didn't see it, I would get it. But the referee actually was like, "Go on," right? Waved it
yeah,
off essentially, meaning that I saw it.
I saw it and
So
I
so there's
played
no
on.
so the VAR to me doesn't make any sense. It's not something he missed. He actually said in his mind, "This is fine. This is two players coming together or whatever, and there's always going to be contact. So let it go."
And
So he let it go, and VAR. Like I don't understand how when VAR is instituted, the referee can't still go. That was my call. I made my call. I'm fine with it. Let me stick with my call because that you the you get the referees now second guessing themselves because the VAR supposedly takes over and answers. I think there's only one reason why VAR should have any say in a review. It's because of offsides. That's the only thing that they can use that's definitive. Otherwise, it's up to the official to decide whether or not it needs to go to VAR, or even if he agrees with it. Yeah, yeah. So I kind of felt like, you know what, that's why that game. It's another one of those things where we're gonna have to play, and the game's gonna have to be a lot closer when we play at Old Trafford.
and
3-1 doesn't sound that close.
who knows if we'd have scored
yeah.
that first goal that was chalked off the Martinelli goal against Manchester United away from home.
Who knows if we would have scored it? He did score
Who
it.
knows what would have happened?
That's the thing. So yeah, and I don't think it was a mistake or an oversight. Yeah.
Congratulations on winning the upset challenge for this year,
Yep,
Gary.
thank you, Sam. Yeah,
Thank you.
I ran him down at the end.
Had a couple of second places, probably.
Kind of like City, just chased him down.
Chasing down the end. Welcome, Alonso. So we're just
Alonso,
going
welcome.
through the season, and we are by F1. You mean NASCAR, right, Stan? We went through the first 5 games, and then that Old Trafford defeat, and we're talking about that Martinelli goal chalked off. We could have, if we'd have been a bit cleaner in midfield, a bit better, and I think the team has progressed even from then till now, that we could have gotten a different result at Old Trafford.
Yeah, and that game seems long ago now. But it's we were on our way to becoming a good team, and then it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards kind of thing. But that defeat at Old Trafford, we missed opportunities in that game to really make a game out of it, and I think we had a lot of possession during that game as well. But like we're still growing as a team at that point, and that game was I think at Old Trafford too. So that game's always gonna be a tough game away. But we made some chances, like I said, and Saka scored, I believe, right? So you gotta just take your licks and before you become a strong team, and it showed that they weren't on the tail to that, and so it's one of those games that you lost and you take your wounds while you still can. And people thought that we'd probably lose to Tottenham and all that stuff after that. So I think it was a good test, and we didn't really do well. We stood our ground, but we lost eventually. But we made it. We made it good. They made it good again, and I think that's what learning is about. Of becoming a good team like that, like Arsenal is, you got to take our losses while you still can in that moment, and show that we went on a winning streak, or they did. They went on a winning streak rather.
Yeah, indeed. Stan said it wasn't easy, but well chuffed winning this season's upset pick. Will it be a prize giving ceremony? No, very low key here, very low key. Okay, Gary, the next one we'll take 3. We'll take 3 together. Is we came back from that Manchester United defeat with a solid win at Brentford, and then you attended the Tottenham game, the North London Derby, and then Liverpool as well. So 3 outstanding wins, 1 away from home against a team that was very hard to defeat. It found at Brentford, and then 2 solid wins against teams in the top half at home.
Yeah, and that was a response to the last time we played Brentford, right? Because I think we played them this
Mhm.
previous season, first game of the season. So that was good to go in there. As you say, shut them down. Get a clean sheet on the road, which is telling because at that point, just looking at the way we had played, we had three matches, three clean sheets for the 4 away matches that we had played. Right at that point, I mean that's
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
good numbers at that point.
Yeah.
At home still we kept giving up goals, so none of that's changed. That kind of behavior in terms of the performance with our defense was there already in the beginning of the season. The first 10 games of the season, we're showing that we're really good on the road, but not so much on the at home in terms of keeping
Mhm.
clean sheets and
Conceding goals.
being
Yeah.
defensively sound. But those 3 games, as you said, were really good. Brentford, that team, and Liverpool. The Liverpool match stands out because that's when we saw what looked like rotation, right? Tomiyasu comes in, does a really good job on Salah, and you're like, oh, cool. So there is a role for him when we need to be defensively sound, and maybe there's an attack on the other side, on the other team that we can shut down. We can bring, if you can shut down Salah, then he can do a good job against most attacks from the outside there, right? Most attackers. So, but that wasn't to
Mhm.
me. That was just like a fluke. Like we kind of used it the one time, and it didn't seem like we wanted to go back and use it throughout the season. I don't even know if that was Tomiyasu's first game of the season that he came in and played. But like I said, I think we have a full squad and we didn't use it, and we saw it there being used, and it actually helped us. And we were like, we got lucky in that game. We won 3-2, but they had some opportunities to score in that game. So we kind of let them back in, and kind of eerily similar to kind of we let them back in when we played them at Anfield. So yeah, good win on the road when we played them at home. I mean, but yeah, good win on the
Good.
road there.
And good to
Good win at
see
home.
Mahir.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mahir?
Yo, can you guys hear me nice and
We don't
Yeah,
clearly?
I can hear you. Welcome.
We don't see you,
Hope
but
you're
we can
doing well.
hear you, right?
Can hear him.
Yeah, no, Eden, I'm not looking too pretty for the camera.
You make it sound like you were looking pretty before.
Maybe I was. Hey, so what's happening, guys?
Just
You guys
kidding.
all well? Shout out to everybody in the chats. I've been away for a while,
You have been
fighting
away.
a bit, fighting a few demons.
Uh,
And it's been quite a dark place, but I mean, it's good to be back, guys.
That's good. That's good to hear
Well,
you. Hear your
hang
voice.
in there.
Sandra.
We're always here for you whenever you want to touch base and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So,
Yep, I definitely know that. So
good
good
to
to
hear
see you
you.
guys, man.
Hey, Gundam Mahir, gracing us with your presence.
Yeah.
Heavyweight
Oh,
Victor.
thanks, man. Thanks. I decided, listen,
stay-
I'm going to
let's stay
come
on
up for a nice evening,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of a rant, but what are we discussing tonight?
We are
Arsenal,
just,
man. So go ahead.
we're just going through we're going through the moments of the season, Mahir. So we had some good moments and bad moments, and we're just recounting them. You know what I mean? Right now we're on that
Yep.
Brentford away from home. We beat Brentford 3-0. We beat Tottenham 3-1 at home, and we beat Liverpool 3-2 at home at the Emirates. So good days in October.
Oh, we're still on the good run before the capitulation.
Yeah, you
Damn
probably come
bottle
back in
job.
about 30, 40 minutes for the capitulation.
Wait, let me disappear for another 40. I'll come back when we suffering.
So you
You
see,
can-
there is good parts to the season now. That's the thing people have to
Yeah.
understand. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that! You look. What
There
are you
you are.
talking
Not so
about?
bad.
You look fine.
Not
Come on,
so
stop
bad
that.
after all.
There you go.
Looking like a little bit of a hermit, man. I've been indoors for a bit too long, Hey, it's driving me a bit nuts. But coping in there, I would have loved an actual win for the season, and I would have loved a trophy to lift that spirits. And funnily enough, guys, you guys do know, my best friend was the one that got me into supporting Arsenal back when we started the channel, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, I just would have loved to see that for him, man. I would have loved to see that. I tear up every time because I miss the guy. He's the one that got me into so many things till today that I love doing, man.
Yeah,
He was the
listen.
one pushing pushing me with Gundit News, saying, "Listen here, why don't you get on YouTube? You keep posting all your videos on Facebook. Facebook this, Facebook that. Get on YouTube." And then guess what? Our channel was born. We've had so many special guests. We've had regulars now. We've got a panel for years,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes,
2+ seasons.
it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Bloody beautiful, man. Bloody
Mahir, you're
beautiful.
wearing Pep's hoodie.
Ah, yeah, man. What can I do? What can I do? I was trying to coach the boys, tell them, come on, man, just fight this last period. We cursed with this last few games every single time, man.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's the last 5 games, last 7 games.
Yeah.
And we get put in such a good position.
Yeah.
And man, it's just a bit heartbreaking. I would have
And
just loved to see
We,
us.
we, we need
all
we need
champions.
Mikel, we need Mikel Arteta to learn from the last 2 seasons, understand what you're doing to the team, playing at a high level with the best players in your squad, but you need to mix in some more salt, some more pepper into this thing, and add some more.
Add a little bit of paprika, you know.
Yeah, a little bit of spice in there to change things up once in a while. And then your meat and potatoes, your meat and rice, your meat and pasta will be ready to go each and every game. You know what I mean?
Alonso, good to see you also, my guy.
If he's not frozen. Are you there, Alonso? Okay, so we come out of that with those wins with Tottenham. Partey playing at a high level. Gary witnessed it. It did happen. Partey did play well at some points in the season. And we come out of that into what was probably our toughest period leading up to the World Cup. A draw at Southampton, I think it is. Leeds United, we barely beat them 1-0. I actually feel embarrassed to say we beat them 1-0 because I remember that performance. So Leeds and Southampton, Gary, in unison.
Yeah, teams towards the bottom, teams that got relegated eventually. You
Yeah.
know, tough games for us. That's a sign of a team we're still not there yet, because those, like I said, those games we were challenged. We were brought to the edge there. You know, those could have been losses easily, especially the Southampton one, definitely the Leeds one. So we were lucky to get at least a win and a draw out of that, which is telling, because a lot of these things, even you look back at it and it's like, well, damn, that it doesn't really, we didn't really change, and that's the problem. We don't usually change and improve. Like we go through these experiences, and at the end of the season, we see the exact same thing. You're like, are we actually learning? Right? Are we actually learning from these experiences? You're playing teams that are low at the table, that have a lot to fight for. You need to come out and play. You just play you don't need to do anything special, but you need to play your style. And we didn't. We showed that you didn't do it. So yeah, those were 2 tough games if you think about it, based on the
Tough
scoreline.
times indeed, yeah.
Yep. Tough games there, those 2.
And then leading up to that, Gary, we finished the season with Nottingham Forest 5-0 and Wolverhampton Wanderers a 2-0 win. A very controlled, almost a Man City type of win where we controlled the game and we took our opportunities against Wolverhampton Wanderers leading up to the beginning of the World Cup.
Yeah. No, okay. So yeah, I remember, because I think I was on vacation for the Chelsea match. It was right in the middle of that, and yeah. No, I mean you beat them 5-0, Nottingham Forest, and once again, looking at them, we're like, what? We at home.
Chelsea away from home as well.
Losing 0-1. Chelsea, right. Yeah. So. And I think in all at least in the Nottingham Forest game, we did score the 5 goals, but in the other games, I think we kept the game close because we just weren't as good on the attack, which is part of where we need to get better. Even as many goals as we scored, there are games in this season where you're like, either one, we didn't play well attacking wise, but we didn't also have an answer on the bench or a different way to play to get those goals in. And that's something we still got to work on. So that's what's promising about it is we did struggle in those games to score those late ones. We did win them, but it was a sign. Once again, all of these are signs to kind of how
Right.
things were going
In
to end.
hindsight, we can look back and say, yeah, we were wearing down against Leeds.
I would like to say that I've said multiple times we cannot miss these opportunities because they will come back to haunt you. Maybe not in
Yep.
the game, but definitely late in the season we saw that. So I think it's when you say that, people go, "How you can enjoy the win?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to enjoy the win, but I'm also thinking about what we need to do in the long term, which is to try to win every game we play." Is in my head, right? So if you see certain things that are they only come out in losses, of course, but they're always there. You know what I mean? That's when you kind of have to, like you want to have a perfect game where every shot on target goes in, kind of thing. It seems like it, anyways. And so yeah, that's how I feel about that. I'll let these guys talk about those games. You got me talking. Nobody wants to talk.
I'm ready.
Yeah, look, I was enjoying adding points on, and at the time when you're in it, you're saying, "How are we doing this? We've only lost one and drew one game out of 13 games so far leading up to the World Cup." It was brilliant. We were enjoying it, but when you zoom back out, now you see the whole season. You're like, okay, the first part of the season leading up to the World Cup is very similar to the full season, and we kind of like ran out of gas toward the end. We beat Chelsea, a very poor Chelsea team, but we did beat them away from home. And as in before the World Cup, our away performances were very controlled, and our home performances we were leaking some goals, and that would continue into next season. But Tony, take Leeds United, take Chelsea, and take the Southampton game, Tony.
Yeah, it's kind of been like our curse of not being up for the small teams. Leeds is a game we definitely should have lost. And we shouldn't have drew. Then the Chelsea game ended up tight win on that. Kind of like with Leeds. We're lucky to get the 6 points out of both of those, but that does kind of start the end of our season because the last 9-10 we weren't very good. And really coming back from a World Cup, we weren't fired, didn't do good against Newcastle. Got out of the cups early again, earliest in our history again. So, like you said, it seemed like we got tired there.
Yeah, and then we come up to the World Cup. Gabriel Jesus has that injury in the World Cup, and we come back as Tony said. We come back to West Ham, and we find Eddie Nketiah with the opportunity to take the leading striking position in the team, and he was going to have 5 or 6, 7 games to impress. And it took him a little bit, but he got going. He scored against West Ham. Then that win at Brighton for me was another one of those. We go to Brentford, we win 3-0, and not many teams have gone to Brentford and won. And now we go to Brighton and we win on their doorstep, and not many teams since have won at Brighton. So these were probably 2 really high points in the season. It wasn't perfect. We got to 3-1, 4-1, and we conceded a couple of goals, maybe a goal at the end, and we could have conceded another one for a 4-3 win. But that Brighton win for me was a really big marker in the season as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just caught up now. The Brighton result was 2-4 to us. Okay.
Yeah, we played really well, Mai, here. The first chance coming to Bukayo Saka, showing, the killer instinct to control that ball and put it in. And then Erdegaard with a deflected shot. I think it was just before halftime. We get in 2-0 up. And shortly after the break, we go 3-0 up. And then they get a goal back, I think, at 3-1. But, for me, that was a performance that was right up there for the season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In certain games you do see the passion the heartbreaking thing was later on with when you get given a window, a transfer window, right? What you do need to do is bring in adequate replacements. So you do know Potter is injury prone. Surprisingly, I don't know how this has happened now. He hasn't been like this when he was at Atletico Madrid. He hardly was injured. And look at his injury record now. So you do need to bring in like even a Fabio Vieira for 35. Oh my god, teabag. Even I'm bigger than teabag. Even I've got more muscle than teabag. Why don't you put me in the damn midfield? Because we've even been linked with the likes of
I
we've been
didn't say it,
putting
Gary.
Yeah.
we've been put in with the likes of an Odegaard, been linked with Madison. I say go and get the medicine then. It's a different sort of dimension to having Odegaard. Yes, Odegaard, I've been one of his biggest haters. I've called him Gibraltar God on multiple occasions. But he's proved me quite wrong. He's scored a lot of goals. He's assisted a lot of goals. If I'm not mistaken, he is one of the leading goal scorers for the season, if not first place, with
Mm.
15 goals.
Yeah,
think
him and
he's
Martinelli
tied.
have the same number of goals.
Yeah, tied with
And
Martinelli.
Martinelli as well. And you go and you get James Madison, for example. So they brings a different dimension. So there's two quality signings for that position to let them fight. But then again, I see why sometimes we don't go and sign the bigger names or the names that would be suited towards us because I don't know if you guys know. Do you know finishing second and finishing first is only a difference of like £5 million, something
Yeah,
something
there's not a
ridiculous.
huge amount of money and prize money between the two placings.
Why would a person want to fight? Why would you go and sign 100 million
Yeah, for
when you just
as a club, you don't care.
No,
You
no,
don't
as a
you don't
club they
care
don't
players,
care.
as a club doesn't
players,
care if they win first
players shouldn't.
based on the
Yeah,
monetary values,
yeah. Look,
which doesn't make any sense, does it?
the
Why
long
wouldn't
No,
why should the first place team make a decent amount difference in the second place?
should
It shouldn't
but
even
it's
be
like a
because I mean that's
should be sizable difference. It's all
yeah.
TV money
yes,
though,
like
and it's all
it
the
should be
clubs
like
control. The
30
clubs
and
vote on
10.
all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Like 30 and 10. But like, why would you want to fight to sign world class players so you can win a title and earn like 5 million? I heard it's something ridiculously low, man. And when
Mhm.
I saw that, I was like,
Yeah, the
what?
difference.
Why would you want
Difference.
to?
Uh,
But Tony wanted to say something.
he did. He did. He
Tony,
had his hand up. Very
sorry,
nice.
sorry for apology for interrupting, man.
With Elneny leaving, Zaka most likely leaving.
15 more.
So now we've gotten your little favorite pet on a free. So we got
Oh,
Tillemans.
yeah, I was gonna. My guy. I just come
We've
back
had
for a
since
guest
January to get him
appearance.
for free.
We can get him for free. I don't know why they aren't on that immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Listen, I think we are after our first two. We should be after our first two targets first,
Oh,
which is Declan
90
Rice
I
million
don't
and
think it makes a
100 million.
difference.
and
That's
Caicedo.
easy.
No, but it doesn't make it like you have to wait for Rice, but you don't have to wait for Casado.
Caicedo.
So why
Yeah.
isn't that one
No.
done? If
Yeah.
especially if your goal, if you lay down your goal and on it says Rice Casado, does it matter which one you get first? It doesn't.
Nope.
So you get Casado could be done already.
Fair
Yes, it
enough.
shows you have money, but we've been shown we've had money for a while now. It's not going to go away. You just have to negotiate. And most of the time, I think if we came to the table with maybe a lower number than many think, but here's more cash up front, you probably more likely get the answer because that seems to be the only thing that holds us back. Is always, well, the number's right, but now we want more money up front, And if that's the case, then if that's going to be the big hurdle to get over, then why don't just offer the most money up front to start? And if they want more, then that's when you start negotiating how much they get up front. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
they might take it first time or earlier in the process.
The price
As
is fluctuating ridiculously mad though, because at one point we were told Declan Rice was going to be
take
not
care,
more
Henry.
than 80, between 75 and 85. Henry,
Yeah, listen. As Craig said here, if we fail to get our targets in the summer transfer window, Edu and Co need to be removed immediately, and the
mm,
whole process of looking and sourcing players needs to be looked at. The league is about consistency. Craig said City won one away game against top nine that was against us and still went on to be champions. Yeah, and that's about consistency, and we were not consistent in terms of dealing with the teams in the lower, really, really lower part of the
Yeah.
table.
I,
Would you
I
say,
like I like to say our performances were the same. The results came out differently, and we think things changed. But I think the performances were similar to how we played. We just got different results by it, but we weren't consistent. You know, I think our performances were the same, and it came out in the losses more than they did in the wins. We didn't notice it. The problems we were having in the wins were still there in the losses. Nothing really changed the way we played. So I think that's the other part to that. We got lucky in a lot of games. Think about it. We got lucky in the Southampton and the Leeds game because of our performances didn't really change much. The results were better, but you know I would go by performance first. That's why I kind of look at that. It's
yeah,
easier to judge.
yeah, performances were there in some games, but not like Leeds away from home. Our performance was not very good. We were lucky to get away with a win there. Okay, West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle was a very frustrating game at home. Teams maybe Eddie Howe, you got to hand it to him. He realized if he was going to be too open at the Emirates, he was not going to be able to get anything out of the game. They rode their luck for large periods of the game. They actually probably started the penchant for time wasting. You started to see this a lot now, Gary, and it probably started in the Newcastle game. This is how you're going to slow Arsenal down, and we saw Sean Dyche do the same thing. Players pretending to be hit on the head and going down. Newcastle players chasing the referee, trying to get decisions, and it was just a frustrating day for us where they defended for their life.
Yep, yep. And we should have had answers for that. It shouldn't have been a surprise, and that's the thing. We always look at it going, oh look, they tried something different. You have to have. That's why you got to be thinking as a coach. You have to be thinking about, well, it works today, but do I have an answer for if it doesn't? And you need to be able to have an answer and be able to say yes to that. And it wasn't as if it hadn't seen it before. We've seen similar teams try to do it. A lot of teams can't. That's the difference. A lot of teams aren't as disciplined. So I think it was something Arteta needed to have an answer for before that game. He needed to know that some days it's not going to work and there's going to be reasons why, and I have to have an answer for it. That's what the good managers do, right? You see it all the time. We talk about all these big managers. As soon as they see something that doesn't look right, they change it, either with the way that they play or they bring on somebody different. Um, Arteta still has to learn that. He didn't do that. Like in that game, there were things he probably could have done differently when he saw how they were going to play us. We were getting opportunities to score. We weren't as clinical. Maybe we needed some new, fresh legs or something like that out there. You need to do something different.
Right.
He did.
Right. Double O Slice X is here. I'm still very worried about center back position. Another Saliba injury, and that is a season done. Do we get someone new, or do we get a right back and let Ben White play center back? Plus, a bigger squad is needed for the UEFA Champions League. I think we need. Well, I was thinking about this during the week. I think we need a third defender who could play a lot of games. Liverpool had a third defender. They had Virgil van Dijk, and then they had Matip and some other player that they rotated quite a lot. And Virgil van Dijk was probably the constant. The other two rotated. We're going to need somebody better than a Kivior, and we hard to find somebody as good as Saliba.
Well, if you need somebody better than Kiwior, then why do we bring Kiwior in?
Well, Kiwior is the cover for Gabriel Magalhaes.
But if you need somebody better than him, then why did you bring
I
Kiwior in?
w-
Is what I'm saying. Like if
Oh,
Kiwior isn't even good enough,
we want to say that Kiwior is going to be our fourth best defender, Gary. That's what I want to say.
why are you bringing in your fourth best when you need your third best?
Well, right now he's the third best.
What I'm saying is he's still not the quality that you're saying he's not the quality that we need. So I'm saying why even bring him in the first place? If you know he's not what you need to stand up behind those two players,
He's
then
supposed to be there.
he's not in the it's a pick for the future, and we didn't need a pick for the future. We needed a player
It's
coming in for
well,
the now.
if
We needed a-
Magalhaes got injured and went down, then he plays.
yeah, but he's not. You just said he's not even good to be our third center back.
Right now he's our third. You would say he's our
You
third
said he's
best.
not our. You're saying right now we need to get somebody who's better than him, which
Yes.
means he is not our third. He's not even better. He's not even qualified to be considered our third best.
No, I want to think of him
We
as
need something
our
better than him. Is what you're saying.
yeah.
In
I
different
want to
words.
think of him as our third, as our fourth best defender right now.
And what I'm saying is, so then you wasted picking him up. Why would Why wouldn't you get somebody better than him?
Why wouldn't you get someone better than him?
If you need a player of certain quality and you settle and get somebody below, but you still need to turn around the next window and get somebody at that level, what are you doing?
It's like when you got El Neni in there and you got Partey, right? We got somebody that's in Jorginho. We got somebody we thought would not be as good as
that,
Partey.
who did we get? We got Sambi, and Sambi isn't even El Neni level.
So we need to raise the level. That's all I'm saying is Kiwior is actually the backup for Gabriel Magalhaes, but never actually played in his position because we had holes all around the back four other than Gabriel Magalhaes. So Kiwior was playing right centre back when he's a left-footed centre back, and he's actually intended to be Gabriel Magalhaes' backup. Now Rob Holding needs to go this summer.
We've held on to too many players for too long. Like some people say else, but I've said I've been okay with some players staying, but with the intent of them leaving. Like then he made sense to hold on to, but he needs to be gone now. Like we weren't going to fill 2 spots, but we're going to need to do that if we're going to compete. So he needs to go.
So that's the thing in our squad. We need a good backup for Saliba, but we actually can't ask Saliba to play every game as well because these 12 games going up to the World Cup, Saliba played every game. At Bournemouth away from home, we won 3-0. There was no actual need. We're going to have to rotate it. We know we're going to have to rotate with the Champions League coming in. Brady said the Saliba contract has to be resolved. That's more important than new signings. Absolutely. I don't believe we're far away in that aspect. The next one, Gary, we'll take the Tottenham one and the Manchester United one in tandem, those two together. One of the greatest memories from this season is Granit Xhaka getting involved in stuff at the end of the game at White Hart Lane, and Mikel Arteta realizing something's going down and I'm going to chase him down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. It's good that he did it. It's bad that he has to do it.
But it's one of those memes that I'm going to remember.
It's funny and all, but like now I can sit back and look at it from a season standpoint, and if that's the guy that you've basically said I want to, and he brought him back, and that's the player that you have to chase down the field to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. At some point, you know what? It's not the right player. Like he loves him and he has so much confidence in him and all this stuff, but the guy's potentially going to let you down because you have to go and chase him to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. So that's not the right player for your squad, especially we keep talking about this young squad and all of that. Is he a good role model for that? No, not at all. His talent is not there where you want it to be, and what he brings to the squad now isn't needed anymore. And definitely when it comes to playing on the edge, he's not really good. He always crosses it and puts himself and the team in danger. So it was funny at the time, but now if we're going to evaluate it as the season, he's not good for the squad. He's no different than any of the other players we let go for the similar reasons, like a Ozil. He wasn't good for team morale, right? Guendouzi, he wasn't good for this reason. Like all those players, how good is he if that's what you have to do for him? And he's the one you want to depend on, right? You're depending on him, but you got to chase him down. But
Yeah.
but Ozil and Guendouzi you get rid of, right? So you're sending mixed messages.
Yeah. For me, it's just a funny memory. I'm going to look back at that and be like, okay, thank you, Granite. Move on to your next challenge in your professional career. And the fact that he's getting involved in this kind of stuff. Some people love it and some people don't like it that Granit Xhaka's getting involved in this stuff. Richarlison starting stuff with Ramsdale as well, and a fan actually kicking Ramsdale, who was since, I think charged and taken care of. But it's not really something you want to see, and Tottenham need to tighten up their security there for something like that to happen.
And they didn't get punished for it.
No. Samuel said, "Can you believe after all the money Arsenal spent, how we are so far away from a proper squad is criminal." Yeah, we're measuring ourselves up against Man City.
No, don't try to make that. That's not it. No,
We're
no,
not competing. We're not competing with
that's
City.
not it. Like Sambi, Nuno, Fabio Vieira, you can name it. All these other players that are the reasons why we're not where we want to be. Not it's City. Nah. That's
Really?
not it.
Really?
You're blaming like the
You're saying our
performances
squad
of
is complete.
no. Every time you take a risk, you fail. So at some point, you stop taking risks and go out there and spend the extra money and get a better player than to try to spread. We spread the money around so we fill all these holes, and then we don't fill any of the holes because the person that we put in those spots isn't up to it. Right? Screw that. Go get the better player. I'd rather get one player who can do a job than two players that can't. Right? And that's what we've been doing. Trusty was a waste of money, right, and time we spent on him. Um, you know, Fabio Vieira, he had just started playing regularly, and we took a chance on him. It didn't work. He's loving me. I told him during the season I'm not.
Preach,
I
Gary.
can't during
Cut
the
the
season.
check.
I can't. I'm not. I go by what's going on in the season, but at the end of the season, I'm going to evaluate where we stand, right? And
Here
I
we
think
are. We're at
like
the
and
end.
you've seen. I don't know if you've seen the list. It shows like 40 to 50% of the players we brought in all failed. Like they're not either with the squad anymore, or we need to move on from them because they're
Yeah.
just not fitting the bill
Um,
for us, right?
I think as in the last couple of seasons, that list has got more gravitas to it. We've had a little bit few more hits than if you look at the 4 years. The
Yeah.
list is very bad at the start with Cedric, with Pablo Marie, with players of that ilk.
But I'm talking about the ones
In
he
the
brought
last
in.
two
The
seasons,
players that he's brought in, he didn't bring some of those players in. They were already here. He re-upped on some of them, I
he what?
believe. I thought he just renewed a lot of them. Like he
Yeah,
renewed, like he
yeah.
didn't have to renew Mari. He did. He didn't. I think Cedric he could have let go, and he kept on to that. So you're holding on to players that fail and then saying, but he had a chance not to even sign them, right? It was like it was a loan,
Listen,
and he still kept them.
there is a long way to go. And as Matt said, cut the check, go get Caicedo and go get Rice. I'm not going to be happy if we miss out on both of them.
Mm.
I'll be a
Yeah.
little bit more content if we get one of them, but I'd like to
Yeah.
get both of them. Those are our primary targets for this coming summer, and it's a big summer where we have to fill out. We got to put the ice cream across the squad, and that ice cream's got to melt and fill in the gaps in our squad, and that's just the analogy I'm using.
Yeah.
Rice, I believe,
Like
is
here are
ice
some of the names of the players. Now there is a lot of good ones, as you said, but there are players that didn't work out. Right now, Fabio Vieira, we don't know if it's going to work out. We hope Kyriel will work out. Pablo Marie didn't work out. Nuno Tavares didn't work out. Marquinhos, He's loaned. Didn't work out. Renarson didn't work out. Trusty probably never going to show up. Cedric, no, didn't work. William failed.
Bad
Right.
names, yes.
So and those are some of the names of the players that did not work out, and those are all under Arteta. Right. Those are all players that he brought in or signed.
For every one of them, you've got a Gabriel Jesus, you've got an Erdegaard.
Yeah, but you spent the money on those. You look at all the other players. Most of those other players, they actually, I believe, took the time and spent the money on them. Whereas
Ben White, you got a Tommy.
if you look at the list where we spent 20+ mil, it typically worked. It always worked out. Where we took a risk under 20 and took a risk, it failed most of the time. And that's what I'm saying. So we can't. Why are we taking risks when consistently it's showing that it doesn't work? Because we shouldn't take risks. I'd rather get 3 quality players than 4 players.
You're not going to like this. You're not going to like this. But those under 20 million purchases are punts.
And we're wasting our money because we find out in the first month they're a waste of our money.
And you sell them. Hopefully,
nobody buys them because they're terrible.
Correct. You sell them we need to make a profit on Lokonga and Tavares. I've talked to you about this. We've bought them for a combined 25. Combined, we got to get 35, 40 million out of them.
You're asking a lot for players that failed you.
That's how this thing works, and it has to work.
It works if they actually one if you put them in. You have to put them in the shop window, and we know what we do. We don't. We put them in the back in the back of the store, and then we try to sell it out the back for top money. And it's like I don't want to pay for that because I don't see them. Right? When we do see them, they're terrible. Right?
The checks we've been cutting, Gary. The checks that we've been cutting have been signing off on large contracts for Aubameyang. Cutting them loose for nothing.
I think cutting the check here would mean that to go out and get the players that
I agree. I know it is, but we've been doing it in the previous. We've been doing cutting checks to get rid of players.
No, that's done now. But we're talking about the players that we have brought in. We're taking, like you said, we're taking punts on them, and they don't work. All right.
Steven said it's not that we're just not playing our style; it's that our opponents wouldn't let us, and we had no other way to play. Yeah, Plan B. All right, or simply the will and desire to win.
No, but you know that's on Arteta as well, and that's where all right, what I want to do isn't working. I need to have an answer for it, but I won't change it. I'll just keep playing the same players in the same positions, doing the same things, but it's not working. As opposed to let's just try to get this win, and then we'll fix it during practice tomorrow.
The biggest progress, the biggest person who has to improve for me is Mikel Arteta over the summer, and realize what he's been doing and make changes to it. Did anyone see that Man United fan on the back of his shirt? Yeah, 97, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. He should be banned from all football and be put in prison. Yeah. And I saw a Manchester City fan with a plane as well, a blow up plane. These people are calling out disasters that have happened within the.
Yeah, that's just, it's sad. It's sad. It's terrible. It's what do you go do something else? Go do something else. If that's the way you feel about certain things, you're in the wrong. This is the wrong thing for you. You need to go do something else. I don't know what it is. Just do something else. It's not, football is not your thing. That's what you're showing us. It's bad taste. Read the people in the room kind of thing. All this stuff. There's enough of this craziness going on for that to be there.
It's got to be condemned at the highest.
As I said, this is not for you. That's okay. Some people can do it. Some people can't. This is not for you. If that's where you're going with this thing, then it's time to move on. And we don't need you in this space of called football fandom. All right. See you. Ready. Have a good week. Yeah. Why can't I hear you?
Reddy's got to go. Okay. Since Arteta's been here, the most money we've got for a player was 25 million for Joe from Newcastle. And that's we got to start changing that as
Think
well.
about it, and that's a player once again we didn't even play. We would never. They saw something in him, and they were able to tap it and get it out. And Arsenal fans, we were a lot of people were like, he's a good talent. We just didn't see enough of him. And why is that? Arteta couldn't figure out a way to use Willock, which tells you where we are in our evaluation of play. We have the players on our practice field, and we don't see potential in them.
Russ, that is
Uh,
not banter. That's you know
you
not.
know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we lost. He'll be back in a little bit. I see assembles. What happened to all the young prospects that have been brought under Emery and Arteta? They've disappeared. Have they been sold or released? I well, right now it looks like we're going to be selling a lot of our younger talent, right? Ray should be back. I'll just continue on here, but yeah, I think we've got what looks like good young players, and we don't want to bring them in. We'd rather sell them. And I think even some of the bigger clubs, they are using players from their academy, and we haven't done that in years now. It seems. I mean, players that are playing for us now have come through the academy, but no new ones since Arteta's been involved. We've only done it. Think about it. We've only brought in players to keep them in the club, not necessarily because we want them. Think about it. We brought in, is it Hutchinson? I think he played maybe, and that wasn't really because we saw something in him and we wanted to use him in the future, and he knew that. We did that with then in Nari, I think is that what you're saying. Also, same thing. Brought him in not because we saw something in him, but because we didn't want him to leave. It makes no sense. It's a waste there to like. I think the players know as well. Well, this team doesn't really want me. They're just doing this for publicity and to have me stay, but eventually to sell me. Eventually, that's what they're probably thinking, and that's what Arsenal's done so far, right? They sold Hutchinson and looks, in Nweri. I'm saying his name wrong. I'm sorry, but I think that's a problem when players can't see a way in. When they can't see a way in, they're never going to sign from the academy. So then, your academy is almost worthless, and you need to pick. There needs to be at least one player you can bring in. Think about it. One player, no, you know. I just like to think some of them are, and then we got Norton Cuffy playing for his team, the team he was on to get into the championship, right? Get into the Premier League. So he's got competition. He's played in the championship. He's played in the playoffs. That's experience you're not going to get in the Premier League because you don't play a playoff like that where everything's on the line. He did that. Came off on the wrong side of it, but that's what you want from young players, experiences. And will we actually see him in a red shirt during the Premier League? I think many think he's still not ready, and like, why is that? Why is it our players are never ready? Um, Something's got to change there. We loaned out Patino to get experience for the season, brought in Vieira, and now Patino is leaving. That's solving a problem and making an issue for sure. Patino, I believe, has what you're looking for. At the least, he should be staying with the squad and maybe going out loan one more time before you bring him in, right? Um, so I think O'Ray is around because he's clicking on these things. 40 mil for Iwobi seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah, yeah. Arsenal, and I think and this is what happens, right? Think about it. We have these top quality players at the top of our list of players that we bring in. We're not selling them, right? And then we wonder why we can't sell any players. The ones we want to sell, the ones we take punts on, as Ray says, and they never work out for us. I think they don't work out for us because we take a punt on them, but then we don't take a risk on them. So the punt is we get them for cheap, but then they perform like stars when they get here all of a sudden, as opposed to we actually put them in situations that maybe brings that out of them. And I think that's the problem. We're never confident and trust the process that says, if you come to Arsenal, we'll make you better and we'll put you in good situations and you will showcase your skills for us. That never happens. And I think that's part of where we're going wrong as a club. As a club, yeah. Yeah, whoever got that Iwobi deal over the line needs a medal. Yeah, that was a good one. A lot of money. 40 mil for Iwobi, and look where he is. I mean, he starts for his team, but are they getting over the hump for it? No. Yeah. Statue out front for the Iwobi deal maker. Russ, welcome to the show. I see Stan is back. We've been talking. I think Ray. We'll see where Ray is, but yeah, no, I kind of feel like the youngsters, we are not doing about a good job with them, and like the fact that Balogun is on the way out, but we might be looking at a striker similar age, dynamic, less goals in the same league. Wow, that's a statement right there. The statement that your own player goes out there and outperforms a potential transfer, and you're still like, no, we'd rather go spend the money. That doesn't. I mean, I think I saw that. I think that makes no sense. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yep, yep. Yeah. So like I said, I think there are deals we can make right now. If Casado could have been worked on right now, because as soon as the season was over, they had nothing going on. It wasn't like West Ham where we don't want to talk. What is that with the West Ham thing? We don't want to talk, but the next thing you know, Bayern Munich's interested in the player. Seems interesting, right? For me. So who's put that information out? Bayern? Probably not. West Ham? Probably. They want to boost the price. Arsenal? No, I don't think they would do that, right? So, what's going on here? If they're out, yeah, supposedly they're out there talking with the player and all this, or the player, Arsenal should have already been on. If they're really, determined to get this thing done, it should be a very easy buy to buy to the season, because the season's over. They would have won or lost the trophy. And next thing up, Ray says he's going to be a couple minutes, so I'll keep chatting away here, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, I kind of felt like that should be like we should be saying we're done with the Rice deal, moving on to the next thing, or done with the Casado deal, moving on with that. So I like to get both, but if they're going to get one, and I don't really want to go back and forth, yeah, with Rice, just get Casado. I think he would work out perfectly for us. He can play that right back role, and then we push. If Saliba doesn't come back, White's going to have to play there anyways. So it might be good to have a solid right back there. Saliba in Kedia, that deal is going to come back. It keeps all these big deals. No, it's fine. Not going to come back because now, we want to improve on the striker. Oh, we can't. We've got Kedia there. What? When has there ever been like a question that says the reason why Arsenal cannot get a striker is because Nketiah is there? What? That's just a bad question, and the answer is the fact that the answer is Nketiah is there is yeah, no. That deal, if that is the deal and we don't know, a 20 extra K over Nketiah for one of the top center backs probably in the world at that age. Nah, I think that is what is it? You guys say taking a piss? That's somebody's those jokes, right? That's a joke, right? That's got to be a joke. Has to be a joke. Somebody is playing around, playing jokes on, playing tricks. No way. Saliba should be earning closer to the 200K easily. That's what the market says, and that's how Arsenal has set it up, right? Arsenal, I think, sets the market in their, the way that they handle their players, and then other players will realize it and decide how they want to, if it's a slap in the face or not. So, Saliba deal, if Saliba is, if there's a risk to his back, and that's why they're holding back, I get it. So then you sell him. If it's not, then and you think your doctors say no, he's fine. It might take longer to come back. You pay him, all right? You pay him. You go and get whatever plays you need because you have time now. Not going to wait till the end of the season to see how his back heals up. Nah, do that now. Go ahead. If they want to make a statement this summer, go out and get Osman. Yeah. Nah, that a striker is an important piece of the puzzle, but I feel that midfield and defense is even a bigger issue for us right now. We saw how at the end of the season we don't have defensive players, enough of them on the back line with experience. I kind of feel like if we're going to let Tierney go, then that's some defense out the door. Holding isn't the defense that we're looking for. Tamiyasu defense, but he won't be available too late in the season, late in the year. If he's back in September, we'll see. So you need defense. You need a midfield. We need Partey. You need better than Partey. You need, if Schalke is leaving, you need to replace him. We've got a lot of more holes, I think, to fill behind that front line. Yeah, 120K is Liberty. Do we need to set a deadline for Saliba signing a new deal before we try to sell him? For me, the longer it goes, every day it goes on, puts a lot more of the power in his hand. So it needs to be done ASAP for me. Either you're selling him soon, either you're selling him today, or you're just gonna pay him today. One of the two. If we get into the beginning of like preseason would be one flare up in the air. Start of the season would be another one, and that's when. Well, you know what? Well, why don't we just sell him? Because I think if we don't, that either means one, like how is that not distracting to the start of the season? One of your top players might be out the door because you don't want to pay him. That's the message right now. That's the message right now. And what player wants to come to Arsenal if they're not going to pay for Saliba? Just like if you're like we do a good job marketing our shirts. That's your marketing for whether players want to come and play for you. Like Saliba played well for you, got injured. Whether or not he comes back, we don't know, but you know that. The fact that you want to, like, if 120 is the reason that says Saliba is injured to me, or you're just really not good at this thing. And that's where we talked about earlier. Maybe, Arteta and Edu need to go if they can't get the job done. If we signed Rice, Casado, Osman, along with a left back, right back, center back, would that be 10 out of 10? 6 players in, all of quality. I think that's where, I think that's a dream scenario. It would be a 10-10, I believe, but I don't think we can. What part of Arsenal have we seen that says that they can do that? We're talking over 200 mil for those 3 players, plus another 3 players. Right, we're talking a Chelsea window, pretty much, right? We're talking about 450 mil, maybe, if you're talking getting quality players in that are going to start for you, and you don't have to be questioned whether or not they would. Rice, we're saying, is what, 90? Casado 70. Osman is over 100. 300 mil right there, done. And then a left back, center back. Maybe you can get each one of those for about 30 to 50 each, right? Maybe 90, so maybe 400 at the like Arsenal that means they're going to double what they've spent essentially on the 6 players in this window. That would get you right where you want to be for sure. Yeah, I mean you gotta have to sell. Definitely have to sell Balogun and Nketiah. I mean that's probably what. Hopefully you would think that's about 50 mil right there for those 2 players, which is fine. You got Trossard that can play in the middle. Of course, Jesus would play in the middle if we needed it. But you would Rice and Casado in the middle. That's really good. Do you sell Partey to make that work, or you hold on to him? Right, you hold on to him and you're good. Now that back line is all you have there. You need to fix the back line and get some more, like a starter. Fresneda, I think, is 30-40. I mean. Right back, I think we got that. So yeah, no, there's answers all around. I guess Casado's a right back, but do we need somebody to replace? Is Rice replacing Xhaka? We'll see. Apparently, Arsenal's management have booked their holidays, so Saliba's contract has to wait. See, yeah, that's disappointing. That is disappointing. They booked their holidays. Yeah, like So that doesn't make any sense, right? Because West Ham said we're not talking until after their last matches. I think the match is on Thursday. Is that right? They're not talking until then, but we need to do that first. That's what it seems like we're going to do. So they're going to go on holiday and then like come back and just be able to continue where they left off or start over again. I don't get that one. That doesn't make any sense. And then as people said, they can do their work on their holidays, but a Rice deal and a Casado deal, I think you start off your window with those, you're good. You hold those things off for like a month. Are they going to be around? I don't know. I hate that that comes up. Slice says, with Holding and Tierney set to leave and Tommy Yasu's injury record, we definitely need players. Hopefully a right back, a center back, and a left back. Plus, we need two good center mids with Jacques and Aneni leaving, and hopefully a center forward. Yeah, all holes that we need to spend, holes that we need to spend, all holes we need to fill. Tommy Yasu should answer our question as to why we need a right back, right? If that's Casado, you're done. Then Ben White can back up Casado, right? And rotate with your center backs. You're good, right? Right. If he's backing up, if he's rotating with the center backs, that means when he'll get his game time playing as a right back and when Casado rests. So you've got good rotation and good quality players there, and Kirior comes in when he need be. Yeah, they need to spend 300 to 500. Like it's over 300 if you're talking about the players you had mentioned. I think you mentioned earlier, right? But 300 might be what we spend, which means we're not going to get an Osman for sure. Challenging or winning all four fronts next season. See, that's the problem. We're not trying to win all fronts. We're trying to challenge. I think it's a big difference. We need to be able to compete definitely early in the early stages. We're not even able to do that. We can't even put out a first round, third round team that we go, well, we should get the win here, right? We're playing City and we're like, I don't know. Or we went to our backups here. We're struggling to see it fit. We lost to Brighton, right? In the cup matches. I mean, in the early part of the season too. So not before they were as good as the way they ended up, but yeah, we need to be able to challenge. Winning on all fronts, I'm not sure about that, but challenging, I think we need to definitely do that. Need to be able to have a decent squad that you can have players that play your style, or if not, the style that either the formation and style that you decide to play with them works for them. So yeah, and that and all the questions that we're asking of the Cronkies, not too many teams are doing that. What other teams are doing that? None of them. So I think we're asking things of our team that we're not even seeing in the marketplace because teams don't do that. They usually do a lot better when they bring in a player. That's where our problem is. You're bringing in players and then 2 or 3 of them don't work out. We need to lower that number to where it's maybe 1, and maybe hopefully it's just the 1 because they don't fit, as opposed to it's 1 because they're just not good. That's where we like our risk. The amount of risk we take has to be smaller, whereby it's not because they're not good, it's because they just don't fit our system. That's what it needs to be. Cedric, Maitland, Niles, and Pepe all. Yeah, I mean, we have so many players that need to go. I actually created. I was looking at it, and I was trying to figure out, who needs to go and all of that. And so I was. Let's see if I can find the list here. But yeah, we've got like Cedric, Maitland, Niles. Maitland Niles is gone. His contract is on, so he doesn't even. We don't even have to sell him. He's gone. So that one's an easy one, unless we decide to pick him up, which I don't think we do. But he's gone. Who else is there? Let's see if I can find my list here. That's upset picks. Where are we going? End the year. Let's see if we can find. Where is it? I had a list of our players. This is the first team. I had another list somewhere where I was kind of listing out the players that we have that need to go. Oh, here we go. Roster moves. So I think Okwanko is going to be sold, if I recall. Runison, got to go. Holding, got to go. Cedric, Bellerin. I think Bellerin is still part of the squad, but I think he's gone. I think that's right. Mari, he's definitely gone, I think, because of his deal. Sambi has to go, right? Or on loan. El Neni, I think we might hold on to him just for sentimental reasons, but nah. Vieira, Torreira, I think they need to be gone. Or it's Vieira, I guess we hold on to him, see where he stands. Xhaka, Maitland Niles, like I said, Xhaka looks like he might be gone, but he might not be gone. Reese Nelson, do we keep him? I think it sounds like we're going to keep him. If we keep him, we got to play him. Maitland, Emil Sufro, same thing. You got to keep him. We got to play him. And Kedia, I would like to see him go because I think we need to do better. Who else do we have? I think that's it. So yeah. Gary, the Coho facts are Kedia is on 100K. This is the benchmark. No incoming player is gonna accept less than 150K. Yeah, that's the exactly. That is a bad precedence to set. Is that you aren't that good, but we're gonna give you 100K. So somebody who comes in who we want to supplant you will take just a little bit more. Now, if 100K sits you on the bench, then we're in trouble if that's where we stand. If Nketiah is the benchmark for that, and we've got lots of players under 100K that play more, I believe, for multiple different reasons. Free agency has changed the football landscape. It has, but Arsenal did not have to spend 100K on Nketiah. We kept him supposedly to improve his worth, and then he's not going to get any better for us because he's not going to play. He needs to go out there and play for us to showcase his skills so he can get better. He's not going to get better at Arsenal with anybody we have in front of him. So that's where that doesn't work. Like the only way you improve somebody's worth is if you can showcase it, and we can't showcase it because we can't play him. The only reason why he played is because we have injuries. That's the only way Arteta goes to his bench. All right. So yeah, it's a bad precedence. What else we got here? Arsenal need about 15 players to get rid of in the summer. Yeah, I think I named it. I think it's about 10 or 11. But yeah, now I'm over here preaching now. I'm just going through this thing. Ray left me alone, so I'm going to talk it up.
Gary is manfully covering up for me. Thank you, Gary. I really appreciate it.
Problem. I always say we need 5 to 10 players, and we're still in that boat right now. We're still 5 or 10 players from where we want to be if we're going to compete with City. It's gonna be a while. So we're not gonna do it this window. I would love to say we are, but we're not. We're not there. Not the way we spend our money. Not the way we take risks in the wrong places. Like the same way we take risks with our players under the 20 mil range, it's the same way we take risks with players who aren't ready, and we put them in situations that they're not prepared for. Like Kyrgios shouldn't come in at Liverpool on the road, right? Like we need to get a win, so we're going to try out Partey at a right back. No, you can't. No, come on, really? Seriously? We're going to take that risk at that point? No, it doesn't work. Based on what we've seen all season, that maneuver makes absolutely no sense because you didn't want to take risks. By one easy risk was bring Trossard in for any one of your front 3 players, because you're looking for scoring, and let him start a game. Yeah, we didn't. That's an easy risk to take because he delivers. He's been delivering for us. Maybe not with his boot in the ball, but he's given 10 assists more than anybody on the squad, and he's only been there 3 months. The numbers showcase he's all right. He's
Trossard.
Good. I'll take that risk. I'll take that risk over the risk of Kyrgios and Partey playing on the back line. No.
He's in some good company.
Tierney's not good enough to play for us because he might be out the door. You know what? If you want to sell him, what's the easiest way to do that? You play him in his preferred position, playing in a style that works for him, and go and look at the tape. The last time we saw Tierney on the pitch, he was playing in a position that he does well at, defending, and now we want to sell him for 40 mil. You know, you can't do that when you don't even play him. You put somebody else in. We don't even think about.
All right, Gary, you've done a lot of talking. Thank you for that, Gary. Definitely, you've raised a lot of good points. Trossard is in great company. The likes of, listen, Ozil was an assist maker. Cazorla, Perez, Lundberg, all of these players. He's in a unique group of Arsenal greats. Fabregas, I think, where he's gotten that amount of assists for only half a season. Trossard, 10 assists for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So let him continue to cook next season and give him more ingredients to cook as well. Give him more games to cook. Tierney. If you want to keep him, you play him. If you want to sell him, you play him. So the team who wants him will pay for him. We're hoping we got him for 25. We're hoping for a substantial profit if we need to part ways with Kieran Tierney.
They're
Love to
talking
keep.
30 mil, which is not substantial profit.
No, I would be okay with halfway between 30 and 40, like a 35. That's probably the going rate, maybe 40 if he's been playing. And you know what? What I'd like to do, Gary, it's Newcastle, right? So what have Brighton done to Arsenal in the past? They've set a limit. They've set a price tag. 50 million for Ben White, you can have him.
Yep.
Took us 3 goals to get to 50 million, but we got there in the end.
Yep.
Caicedo, you can have him for a certain amount. Do you think we're getting him for less if he's coming to Arsenal than what Brighton are going to set? And Newcastle, 40 million Newcastle, you can have Kieran Tierney. Reluctantly, you can have him. You know what I mean? But these are the things that Arsenal need to tighten up on. And I think somebody mentioned we have a bunch of players that we need to get rid of as well and move on. The amount of money we will be saving on wages, getting rid of all these players, could work out around 740,000 a week.
Yeah, and even
That's
if we
huge.
have to pay off some of it, say we pay off 50% of that, that's better.
That's
Still.
huge.
It's still
Is it possible? Is it possible Edu and Arteta are not as united as they act in front of the public? It's possible because Arteta clearly wants Caicedo and clearly wants Rice this summer, and I see that relationship's acid test coming this summer as well, and probably in the next few weeks, if I'm being honest.
Yep. No, I mean, it's telling by whether we get our first targets or not. So Tielemans is a end of the season. If he's still around, we'll pick him up. We have to get our preferred targets for this thing to work because every time we get our preferred targets, we've seen so far they've worked out. When we settle, they don't work out. Like you bring in a Tielemans, you're going to overwork him, and then you're going to see maybe the things you didn't like in him. But if you get your number one targets ahead of him or around him, I think you'll be better.
Tielemans could be similar to Granit Xhaka. I'm not saying a like for like, but in terms of not being so good off the ball, Granit Xhaka is a little bit like that, and Tielemans likes to get forward and score goals as well. So he could add those 9 goals that Granit Xhaka had the previous season.
I believe. I mean, do we think? I mean, I kind of can't he be better? Isn't he better than
Yeah, I'm saying 9
as a scorer.
He can go past what Granit Xhaka did.
I haven't seen Xhaka hit shots like long shots from distance. Like we've seen Tielemans do that in a cup match, right, to win it for his team, right?
Xhaka's got a good shot from about 18 yards, and Tielemans, it's a different kind of shot from Tielemans. But yeah, I'd like to see us upgrade the midfield in a lot of aspects as well. Emile Smith-Rowe come back and take his chance as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where we're at, and we're going to see in this. We're going to see this summer where we're going to go with this.
No, here's the thing. So this is what I'm looking at real quick here. Last 4 years, right? Xhaka 7 goals and assists in the last season, just past season. The previous 3 before that, 1 goal, 2 assists. This is just a blip right now until we see different. Whereas Tielemans previous season, 3 goals, 2 assists. But then the 3 before, the 3 before that, 6 and 4, 6 and 4, 3 and 6. So which one do you think? Which one do you think? You think Tielemans has had a blip and he'll be back, or you think Jacques is trending upwards? And he'll continue with those 7 goals and assists and build on it. I don't know. I kind of
Not
feel
easy
like
to answer.
I feel like Tielemans it's done it already, and it was a bad season at where is he at? Brighton, right?
And then he's at Leicester, and
At
then
Leicester,
you
sorry.
always say to
Yeah, bad
yourself,
season for Leicester. Sorry.
what would Tielemans do in this Arsenal midfield with Odegaard,
Yeah.
Martinelli, Saka, and Gabriel
If he did
Jesus?
6-4 in a good season for him, you would expect him to be able to do double digits
A bit more.
easily in
Yeah.
one of goals or assists for us. So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so thanks for covering for me and Gary. We kind of got into the summer transfer window, but we probably want to close out the show pretty soon. So,
Mhm.
where do you want to go with this, Gary? You can take it in any direction you want.
No, we were just talking about where we go next here, and I
Yeah.
think that's going to be like West Ham plays. When do they play again? They play is it Thursday?
Thursday night.
So
Thursday.
Thursday night. So next time, like the next time we have next time we have a show either here or there, you would expect. I guess you said you're going on vacation, so
Yeah, so probably
So-
won't have a Thursday night for him, to be honest. But
true. No, but I mean, like the deal isn't going to happen on
weekend.
Thursday night, right? So
Yeah.
any deal with West Ham is probably going to happen. Arsenal's going to wait for some reason until Monday, when in reality, on Friday I'd be knocking at the door, going, "Let's just sign this thing so we can get out of here." Just sign
Yeah,
off on
and
this
if we
number.
are to believe, we have to believe there has been contact.
Yeah.
Summer business doesn't happen in the summer. It happens 10 months out a year as well. They're talking to players, they're talking to representatives, and West Ham are probably well aware of what Declan Rice wants to do. He probably has a preference.
Yeah.
We hope it's Arsenal. We hope that all of the signs point toward the Emirates, and I actually feel quite confident about it. But it will take a few more weeks, and it will be the nitty gritty that needs to get sorted out. But you're right. On Friday, Arsenal need to be knocking on the door of West Ham's offices and saying, "Listen, we're going to Germany. We're going to have preseason the first week in July. We're going to be playing Nuremberg, and we would like Declan Rice to come to Germany with us for a week or 10 days, and then we go to the US and we have more games in the US, and Declan Rice can integrate into how we want to do things."
Yeah, and now it just dawned on me. So Arsenal management is going on their holidays when the transfer period starts.
Now, who's the management? Arteta and the
Well,
coaches?
if
What are we
it's management,
talking
it's
about?
got to be people that handle this whole part of the process.
It probably isn't. There's probably a whole separate department.
I hear you. You're assuming just like I'm assuming.
I'm speaking
So
sense.
it could be 50-50, one or the other, but the fact that during the biggest, like, you do your business early enough, you get the rest of the summer off. You go on those trips. You're not worrying about signing players, right? I mean, they're going. It's not like they're going. I mean, they're not going to like the beach and all that, but they are going and traveling around. And I think if you're not going to be doing your work at the start of this window, then like what was all the prep for?
What I say is the playing staff go on holiday now. Arteta, the coaches go on holiday.
Doesn't go without signing his paperwork.
And
in my eyes,
the people who make these transfers happen, this is your time to shine, as we say. Tim Lewis, Edu, you've sitting in the stands watching
What about
games. Dick Flick or whatever his name is. Garlic, yeah, Dick Garlic. This is the time for them to come into the office now. Arteta and the coaches should be going out as they're going in at London Colney. And they are like, "We got this, Mikel. Don't worry."
Yeah, but you just said they probably already had conversations with West Ham. So if that's the case, going on like any part of the business that could potentially have something to deal with a transfer shouldn't be going on vacation for West Ham. Like this is the biggest signing of Arteta's career.
It'll be the biggest sale for West
No,
Ham
the
as well.
biggest. That will be the biggest signing for Arteta. We don't care about West Ham. Really, we don't. We don't care about West Ham. We really
Charlie
care about
cares.
Arteta. Yeah, but he doesn't. He only cares. He cares about getting the money, but they got to replace him now.
Yeah.
But Arteta's biggest signing as of yet is the next one, and it's got to be a big one because we just finished second, and and a lot of people said it's a failure. So he has to improve on that, and he can't do that if he messes up the window.
Mm-hmm.
It's on him, regardless of Edu or not. They supposedly work together.
I was going to say, Craig, we talked about this at the start of the show, but this is a joke here. A very good joke, and may well happen. Actually, there may not be any silverware coming at Tottenham, but breaking after winning a domestic treble with Celtic and 5 trophies in 2 seasons, Anger Postecoglou has announced his immediate retirement from winning any further silverware by joining Tottenham, but he will help Harry Kane with more personal accolades for the Harry Kane appreciation.
If he stays,
we kind of want him to stay. I don't want Harry Kane going to Man
but
United.
it's stupid though. It's just really stupid.
Gary,
it's
we want Harry Kane to stay.
It's fun to laugh at him, but it's not fun anymore. Like it was fun when they were trying. When they were looking like they could get something, get a win here and there, win a trophy here and there.
Under
what part of that team right now looks like, all right, you know what? Yes, we have a chance to win a cup. Oh, we can challenge for the league. If we get in, we can't play in Europe, so that's off the books.
Harry Kane is going to Real Madrid, so
yeah.
As long as he doesn't go to a Premier League team, I'd be quite happy.
If he goes to Real Madrid,
he
he's going to be
go
laughing.
To Madrid.
He's
Benzema's.
laughing if he goes there.
Yeah,
he's good in the air. He can come back and play if they need him to, but he doesn't need to. He's got to have the craziest wings on both sides of him. Come on.
I mean,
why would you want to sign up for that? I mean, I don't
Gary
know.
Lineker. I remember Gary Lineker going to Barcelona in the 80s, I think it was. This would be the equivalent of Harry Kane going to Real Madrid. And, Madrid will miss Benzema.
Yeah, they won't miss him. They won't miss him as much if they can get a 20-goal season. Harry Kane playing in a league that might be a little bit easier for him in terms of wear and tear on the body, right? I think there
could be legs to this story, right, Gary?
It would make sense. Like Osman would be the next. Like if they're going to go out there and get it, like what do they need to? What holes do they need to fill? The only one
Madrid.
they need to fill right now is a striker, right?
Forward. Yep.
Right. So what would you want to get? Osman, who might be good in the future,
maybe,
or Harry Kane, who's right now is could give you easily 30 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. We don't want Man United improving. We don't want Man United improving their team. Mason Mount may go there. We saw him interviewed in the Formula One race. His mate, Ben Chilwell, said he's going to United. I don't know if that's true or not. Apparently, Caicedo agrees personal terms with Arsenal. You can agree personal terms with Arsenal. All that means is that you've agreed the wage and salary that you're going to be getting. Doesn't mean
that for Arsenal is just.
We're good at that.
It's par for the course. So
we do that on everybody?
We said hello,
whether we sign them or not.
It goes in tiny stages, Gary. It goes in tiny stages.
That should be like Arsenal just said hi to Caicedo. Personal terms have been confirmed. Next, because that's how long it takes between like the next thing, which is Arsenal submitted a bid. It's been accepted or not. That's because we want to get to that point.
Yeah.
No, it's usually we bid about 30 million under asking price, then 20 million, then 10.
Lavish.
When you get to 5, then you haggle over that last 5.
Would you take Lautaro?
Vlahovic, Lautaro, they're all good players that we could use for sure.
Well, we don't feel any confidence.
But we get a striker. Like if those are the players we're looking at, we can afford them, right?
As the assemble says, everyone says hello to Arsenal. Everyone takes the call. They agree personal terms.
question. They take that
Right.
first call. They go out for that first coffee. Do they come back and go out for a meal?
The tough part is when you're negotiating, when Arsenal negotiate with the club in question. You know what I
Can you
mean?
can you explain one to me? Right?
Mm.
Why did it take all summer to haggle over £2.5 million on Tierney?
It took about 8 weeks. It took about 8 weeks, and that is the majority of the summer. You're right. Yeah. I don't know how it goes in and out, but like it almost feels like they have to leave it for a number of days in between bids. Okay,
What
they
about him
slap their
going?
hands.
Like you should already know how much you want to spend on them and how much you're willing. What your ceiling is, right, on a bid. Like if the team says it's 100 mil, are you going to pay the 100 mil? No. All right. So what is the maximum you'll pay? 90. Putting a 65 mil bid in there when you know they want 100, they're not even gonna think about it. It's gonna be easy. No.
I
But
will
if
say,
you come with like 75, 80, maybe you get it. Okay, can you do a little bit better than that kind of thing?
that I feel under Arteta that we have been more expedient and quicker and more on the front foot
When?
bringing in.
Like
Last
in
summer,
January? Like in
last
January
summer.
when we had how many bids went in for
No,
Casado
no, I'm talking about the
and
summer.
Mudryk? No, we're talking about the last time out. Like no talk about like last year. Talk about what you just did lately, right? We talk about this all the time. What did you do the last time you had a chance to go buy a player who you wanted and they gave you a number? You went out there and you dragged your feet. And somebody else bought him.
Yeah, you talking about Mudryk or
Mudryk, yeah,
Caicedo?
Mudryk, first player they
Mudryk.
went after, right?
Yeah, yep.
That was your number
Uh,
one target for January. You
bullet
were willing to
dodge
spend.
there.
You were willing to spend. We only dodged it if Chelsea actually was a really quality club
Gary,
that was doing
Gary,
really
you're
good things.
forgetting.
And
You're
you know what?
forgetting another
He
one,
didn't
Gary.
pan out, but they were in probably their own words not having a good season.
Mhm.
So yeah, Tony, sorry.
They give
What
us
about
enough to argue on podcasts, don't they, Gary? They give us
yeah,
enough.
Yeah.
you're
Arsenal give us
forgetting
just
the
enough. Tony,
Leeds player that we did 3 bids on.
Rafinha.
All, yeah, that were all injured, but that's the race, except for the last one, which was still
Ar-
like 5
Arteta
million under.
demands. Arteta is demanding that we have players for our summer camps now, summer preseason. We're not going in summers to the last day of the window anymore. So I feel
We'll find out. We'll
we'll
find out
find
soon enough because, like you said, like we'll find out if those management people on vacation actually are the ones doing this.
Yeah.
We'll
So
find
for
out.
me, it's going to be about a month, Gary. It might take a month for Rice.
I get it, but I don't like that.
I know.
Why?
I
Like
know.
you just said, we've been talking to them for a bit.
Yeah, I don't know
But you're
what
still
they.
saying it's going to be a month into maybe a month to announce because 2 weeks we say we signed him and then he goes on vacation for 2 weeks and then we bring him in officially. That I'll
Yes.
take, but not like in a month from now we'll finally get the paperwork signed. No, you go on vacation, you already signed. We'll see you in 2 weeks when you come in and and then you go off on whatever trip we're taking.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Uh,
So
Arteta is a blame shifter.
yeah.
Listen, we'll see. Listen, we're gonna this summer will tell us a lot. You know what I mean? The moments of our season, we're getting back to that. There's a couple of memes there. We want Mikel Arteta maybe to react better on the sideline as well, and not be that headline maker. Not be the celebration guy too much. Klopp gets a lot of flack for that. I know they all do it, right? But Arteta acted up on the sideline a little bit too much. He's an emotional guy, and he needs to
What about
dial
the
it back.
micromanaging? That needs to go too.
Micromanaging. We're seeing the benefits of micromanaging, whether you like it or not.
When?
You think he's that constantly
By being
screaming at
second,
players helps?
progress.
You think
Tell
that
me how the
helps?
last 10 matches we played,
I
how the
mean,
micromanaging worked there.
like that wasn't about micromanaging. That was about rotating.
That was micromanaging or actually the lack of
Lack of rotation.
lack of micromanaging, which is part of this whole rotation.
both of
Rotation
them.
is one part of being a manager, and micromanaging encompasses a lot of things. One of
The
them being rotation.
micromanaging is where you're being coached to within an inch of your life.
He's not even doing that. 10 matches. When did you feel like he was micromanaging in it? None of it. You don't think any of it because that's terrible run of games.
And that's player management as well too.
I think he's getting a bit better at that.
Things that you're talking about, he didn't do at the end of the season. Like, I don't care about. It's not necessarily just the injuries and all of that, but what he did. You know, he didn't do a good job.
Listen,
micromanaging.
I like Mikel Arteta. I think he's brought us a long way. Do I say he's perfect? No, he's not perfect. He's got to fight two managers, in my opinion, that are better than him, and Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. But I think Pep Guardiola is.
You went down 3-1 to Southampton. That has nothing to do with Pep. You went up 2-0 on Liverpool, 2-0 on West Ham. That has nothing to do with Pep.
I know.
Klopp, none of that. Maybe Klopp.
I'm
in
just
the first
saying,
one. But
he has a long way to go.
You're now creating excuses for him in situations that have nothing to do with Pep. Pep had nothing to do with that.
I fully acknowledge he has work to do.
But you're giving him excuses, saying, you know what, the way you played against Brighton and
not giving them
Forest
excuses
is because of Pep, because of City, because this big giant.
No, I'm saying
why you didn't come out and play. Your team didn't come out and perform.
All right. Where do you rate him in terms of the league, the managers in the league? Where would you rate Mikel Arteta?
He's got 4 years of experience. He's still not there yet. We saw De Zerbi got there.
Yeah, but right now, where do you rate him?
As a manager?
5, 6, 7?
As a manager?
Yeah.
He's probably closer to 10 than you think. He's closer to 5.
So there's
right
Pep Guardiola, there's Jurgen Klopp. You could probably name a few more. De Zerbi, right? You probably think De Zerbi's better.
I believe the reason why I say that is because he's not there yet. I don't expect him to be there yet, which means other people have to perform, right?
Yeah.
Like they need to bring in better players for. Like he asked for a player, they need to bring that player in. All right. I want Mudryk, get me Mudryk. All right. I want Vlahovic, get me Vlahovic. Vlahovic, if he said I don't want to come to Arsenal, I want to go to Juventus, then he should have been off the table yesterday. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't even invested any more of our time. Rafinha, same thing. I want to go to Barcelona. Let him go. We don't have time to be wasting on players that don't want to come to. They said that, right? But then they still go after players who don't want to come to Arsenal. They're breaking their own rules.
This Bowie is from Galatasaray. He's a right back. You know, the word is we've bid 17 million. It's that benchmark, Gary.
It's like 3 mil. It's like
20.
And they want 3 mil more or something like that.
It's under 20. So if it gets over 20, it has a possibility of being a good signing.
Yeah. And he's a young player, and like people are saying, how much better is Bowie than what other right backs we have? I think Fresneda has a lot more. Fresneda comes with a lot more receipts, I believe.
I think Fresneda could be a good one.
But I thought Bowie was in another position. I
right back.
Think he is right back.
Yep. Spencer, you're right. Glad we didn't get Mudryk. Listen, sometimes life works out. You know, you didn't marry that girl, and look what she did. You know, you married the good one.
I think we get too stuck on that. I think that's one of Edu's biggest problems. He wants all these names, but it's not the name; it's the player.
Well,
what they can do.
Listen, Fresneda and Bowie are not names.
No, think about it. Think about it. Did anybody think Tomiyasu would be as good as he was?
No, he actually think he's.
I was a player picked on their talent, their skill set, and what he could bring to Arsenal, not based on anything else. Like that fit there, whatever they're looking for in a player.
Kiwior could be that player still.
Yeah, but Kiwior doesn't have the experience that Tomiyasu had coming in. So different for me.
Similar.
No, he did not. There's no tape of Kiwior playing against Ronaldo.
Yeah, there is.
Did he do good against him? I don't remember. The World Cup? You mean the World Cup?
No, in the Serie A.
But let's look at
that.
I never saw it, so there you go. That's how much I was invested in that whole situation.
Let's stay
Not much.
Let's stay at center back. How many of us knew Gabrielle?
No, no, no. But you know what? And that's what I mean. If
Won
we
the
know,
French league.
typically if we know the names, a lot of times it doesn't work, especially when But
Yeah,
like when they take serious, like they don't work all the time.
yeah.
Because if you
Uh,
look at the
on
numbers
the
say they don't work all the time because they
now
don't do a good job there sometimes,
we
most of the time.
we've gotten to this situation where we bought players like Tommy Esu. Now this summer has got to be about players we know, Declan Rice and Caicedo. You know what I mean? And they have to be the mainstay of our summer. Who should be the director of football for Arsenal? For me, it has to be Mr. Arsenal himself, David O'Leary. Definitely. I've got
Yeah.
I've got a thing up here, 558 record appearances for David O'Leary. You know, Irish international.
Yeah, it'd be good to bring in some experienced players at
And
that. You know,
we
I
want to
it'd be
just
bring him
good.
send
back to the club
I
as
just
well.
send him a sack of potatoes, Ray.
I'll send him a sack of potatoes. Okay, so this was a podcast about moments in our season looking back. Remember Arteta's rolling ball emoji, GIF, meme at Villa Park. Villa Park was a good moment as well, where the ball hit. Life just throws you up some good moments at times. The ball hit the back of the head of a goalkeeper that we talked about before on this podcast, and that was a fun one. I enjoyed that. Tony, whether you like it or not, football is a roller coaster. Even if you're a City fan, it can be a roller coaster.
Come on, I like the flat path, Ray.
You like doing things easy, and maybe City fans have things easy right now, but within games, they're having a little bit of checks here. Yeah, it is 722 appearances, and I think it's probably 558 for the league appearances. But David Leary, that will not be broken, I would think. 722 appearances for Arsenal. Yeah, we hope that our ride is going to be a little bit smoother, Tony, next season. You know,
Yeah,
that's
hopefully the biggest thing we need squad depth.
yeah.
That's why we need to go look at players have already been plucked from
We need to do two
Leicester.
things. We need to do two things: push players onto the bench by bringing in better quality, but also um, bring players onto the bench that have quality that can
But
challenge.
isn't that where you used to go for known players as or the name of a player or the teams that got relegated?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Madison would be an easy one to bring in, all right?
I just worry though, like Madison, is that a position that we need to fill? We have Emil Smith Rowe, we have Trossard, we have Vieira, who may or may not come good. You know what I mean? There are question marks over all of those three players.
What about the Turkish player that's already been plucked up?
I think what the Turkish player Bowie,
No, I can't remember how to say his name.
So what about Kyle Walker Peters, right?
Southampton.
Yeah, I mean there are players Lavia, right, in midfield, right? We're talking
Mhm.
about
Yep.
players that are playing that have played in the league, have made a name for
Yep.
themselves. You bring him in, all right? We just talked about you.
It's the
You said
bundle.
Madison won't work, but we need to bring in midfielders, and we're already talking about bringing in a midfielder that could replace Xhaka. So Madison can come in and play a similar role there. I think even better.
Everything's dependent on what we can generate from sales and what we're going to have.
It can't be excuses. We're bringing in White Rice. It has nothing to do with sales.
But Gary, you got $200. Okay, you got $200 in your pocket, and you're buying two expensive items at the store. You have to find out what change you have.
Do you remember how we sold last summer? Like, no, you don't, because we didn't do a good job of it. This summer we have potentially better players that we could sell, but also supposedly we didn't spend all the money we were going to spend in January. So that's got to be that's got to be some money left in the till there. We typically spend over 100, 150 easily. in the summer based on what we've done so far. We're going in the Champions League, which means we got even more money, right? A little bit extra money go for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got more money than we had the last summer. So so there's windows there. There's place there. So I kind of feel like we're kind of making excuses now. We should have more money to spend.
We're gonna have money to spend, and we're gonna have
Yeah.
players that have resale value, and we're gone are the days where we're gonna be making losses on players. That has to change. I've been
Yeah.
saying that now. for
Yeah,
3
but we
years,
don't have
right?
those players right now. Like
Tierney.
right now, the only players that are going to make money for us are Balogun, Tierney. Really, those are the top two numbers of
Tavares.
players. Maybe, right?
I mean, making money is making money, right?
Yep.
If you get them for 7, you have to sell them for more than 7.
Yep.
The sample says City put the work in. The harder they work, the more they win. And look, we reminded Liverpool fans, Arsenal reminded Liverpool fans of their team a few years ago because we had that fire, we had that energy earlier in the season. We didn't maintain it, and that's got to be a key thing that Arteta's got to take into this coming summer as well.
Mm. I hear you.
We need to sign players that will challenge and compete with our first 11. That is a problem we don't have. It's too nicey at Arsenal. It was much more nicey 5 years ago. We're getting much better with this thing. Forever, Arsenal seem to be buying backup players instead of first team players. And we need to sign players. There we go. We need to sign players that will challenge and compete with our first 11.
Yep.
I think our first 11 is so good that it's actually difficult for the squad players.
No, but we need to be able to play them, which means they have to be of a certain quality. If they can't if they can't even beat those players on their bad days, then we can't bring them in. And that's what we need. We have players. That's why they need to be able to compete for a starting position. Is that on their day they could be just as good, if not
we
better.
got to bring players in who have fire in their belly. Declan Rice had fire in his belly against Partey when West Ham played them. That's an upgrade for me. Caicedo, when Brighton had this over us at the Emirates.
Right.
Yep.
Should Saka be playing League Cup and FA Cup matches, especially the
You know what,
early
Tony? I will
stages of FA Cup?
give you a compliment, Tony. I tend to take on board what you're saying, but I don't actually digest it sometimes. And you've been talking about 3,000 minutes for Saka.
3,750 is what he finished.
We see it every day. We agree with it, but I don't give you enough props for saying that. So you're going to be the minute watcher next season on the podcast.
Like I said, should Saka be 250 minutes off of playing 4,000 minutes at 21 years old?
No. Part of me, it feels like we're using the miles up on him so that we're going to sell him 2 or 3 seasons from now, and he won't be able to be the player for City or Real Madrid or wherever he's going to go because of the miles we're putting on his clock. You know what I mean? It's not fair, but I'd rather him play for Arsenal than Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Luckily, Gabriel is a brick shit house and did okay.
I would
4,000.
We owe it to a generational talent like Bukayo Saka to win trophies for him, but he's ambitious. We need to start winning trophies to show him he can stay at the Emirates and fulfill his ambitions. You know what I mean? I don't think we're far away from City. They kept us at arm's length at the end of the season. They could probably have added another 5 points at the end of the season. If they wanted to, they could have beaten Brighton. If they wanted to, they could have beaten Brentford.
Yep.
You know, and we know where we drop points as well.
And you can tell they looked even rusty in the cup match over the weekend. I mean, they missed
the FA Cup final here.
There was a couple of shots there in that first half that they could have been up 2-3-0 easily in that game.
Yeah.
And that's probably from rust from not playing and enjoying the hard work that they put themselves in, this pressure that they put on us, right? So I think that's a plus for that. Like you said, they work hard. They worked hard enough that everybody we failed to continue any pressure on them.
Where
and
their
we
fearless
we
leader
made the
go.
rest of their. Think about it. The last 3 games of their season were like whatever, whatever.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if we win or lose them. I mean, that's you don't want to do that, right? You want to you want to continue to put pressure on teams. We didn't do that, so
City
um,
players average between 28, 30 games. Arsenal is higher. Yeah,
yeah. But
that's
when
the
you
league.
look at it, when you add the Champions League, the numbers go up significantly. But
To
it's
watch
still
it, to watch
the
it.
minutes is still there. You know, they still. I still think we need to spread it. We need to have more depth in the players that play for us. So
And one other thing I'll say, Tony, I won't want to defer playing City into spring. Remember, we had this thing with City where the match got deferred, postponed because of the Queen's funeral. I want to play City at the Etihad in October.
yeah,
You know
but
what I
that's
mean?
a lot of that had to do with UEFA. They want to reschedule.
The PSV game,
Yeah,
and
even
because
though we said we
we've
do it,
seen the
play
way
it
City.
there. We said we would play it there if it was down to security and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And they still said no to us.
we've seen now the way Pep Guardiola sets his team up. They start slow and gather pace through the season.
I
So
think we've seen that two cases. Last year, a lot of people wanted a Spurs game put off. That didn't end up working for us.
mhm.
A lot of fans wanted the City game put off. That didn't work for us.
It didn't work for us. You're right, Tony.
I
So we
think I
shouldn't be
think we
afraid
had
of these things.
it was either to be a draw or a win if we played it last year.
See, sometimes I come around to the way Tony thinks. It takes me a little while, but I come around to it.
And
yeah,
one thing you're forgetting, right, is Man United's gonna be better, Newcastle's gonna be better,
Yeah, but we're going to be better.
and
I'm not
Villa's gonna
worried
be
about that.
better.
Look at I was looking at Man United. We're 9 points ahead of them this season.
It's not gonna be a 2-horse race next
The
year.
season before, we were 11 points ahead of Man United. So we've kept the distance away from Man United. Ten Hag, he's got a lot of work to do at Man United. Ten Hag has, you know
Yeah, but
that
it's not gonna be a
they need a
2-horse race.
goalkeeper. David De Gea is not going to do it for them this
You
season.
think it's
This
gonna be a
coming season.
2-horse race next year, Ray?
I want it to be a 4-horse race. The only way you beat City is having 3 or 4 other teams coming for them as well. You know what I mean?
It should be that because you're gonna have
Craig says here, this is why I hate our fan base, so deluded, etc. I'm hearing now that they don't prefer the Invincibles. Seriously, who are these fans?
what?
They don't. This got to be a different generation,
I
Gary,
know.
right?
No, I don't even know what that means. What? What? Those aren't the fans. You shouldn't be talking to those people, Craig. Stay away from those people. It doesn't make any sense. They don't
This is why I
prefer
hate our
this.
fan base. I'm hearing now that they don't prefer the Invincibles. Seriously, who are these fans? Maybe it's the fact that, you ask yourself, would you trade in the Invincibles tag for a Champions League win or something like that? I don't know what
They're
that means
both.
exactly.
They're both big things in the world of football.
You know what
Not
else?
Not everybody else. Not everybody goes undefeated for a season. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen that often.
And it probably won't happen for another 100 years.
You
So
know what I mean?
it's a
So
big achievement.
it is a big achievement, and
The drop off
you
between
you can't in one breath say, you know what, Champions League is the pinnacle, and then but we're not losing a game in a league is it's not. They're on different they're similar levels, right? I think they're close. Champions League, you can lose like 3 games and still win a
Mhm.
Champions League, you know. So
Champions League is the
you,
biggest cup competition. It's the elite cup competition out there.
yep.
We're going to close out pretty soon anyway. Gary, thanks for being with us. We'll scale back to maybe one show every now and then for the next month, and then we'll pick it up again. I don't know how you're feeling, Gary, but it's kind of like end of season. I wouldn't call it burnout. It's just like
Yep.
power down
Yep.
a little bit. Do you feel the
Yeah.
same way?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I'll still want to talk, but I think
Mm.
for me in July is probably when I will probably have at least amount of shows I'll have all summer because I'm on vacation and stuff. Then during that time, it might be easy just to say, "See you guys in August," kind of thing. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll chat. Like I actually am planning, and maybe you'll show up. Maybe you'll join me for the game in I think it's July.
Love to.
So
Yeah,
so if we
definitely.
if that works out, we'll go to that game in
Yeah, we might
East
do a
Virginia,
little bit
New
of
Jersey.
content or something. Who knows? Even
So
then,
so yeah, that'd be cool to do. So we'll see how that if that works out perfectly.
Yeah.
But
No.
it'd be cool to see Arsenal. But so July might be a little slow. But once again, I say July might be slow because I do have vacation. But I might want to still chat about what's going on, anyways. It might be just
No.
like on location. Here's a video that I just did, because
Mhm.
you can do your videos anywhere in the world now, right? And let people listen to what you have to say. So hopefully, that's one thing I kind of feel like I might want to do. There's enough content from the previous season you can still talk about, and then there's this transfer period stuff that's going on, and definitely after Thursday, you would expect it for Arsenal hopefully to pick up and answers some questions to be answered. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll do that, Gary, and it's definitely something that we're at the end of the season, but we'll pick it up again as the summer window gathers pace and we get into a new season. We'll feel energized again. I think maybe we're feeling the symptoms of Arsenal going the distance with City. And we'll talk about the other teams as well. But we got to leave it here pretty soon, Gary. I'm going to give Tony the final word as always. So thanks for joining, Gary. Thanks for filling in the gaps
No problem.
during the time I had to be away. And we appreciate each and every one of you watching us out there. And we will be around. It just won't be twice a week.
True. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ray. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. I think I saw Mr. Bundle joined us late there, and like you said, we'll do this. We'll be back in full sprint when the season starts. I think everybody's going to be taking off and on here, and but yeah, enjoyed spending this time with you. We'll do it again.
Yeah,
on a regular later.
And I think I'm going to be busy for probably the next 10 days, but maybe on Thursday, the 15th, mark your calendars. The 15th of June, the fixtures will be released. So we'll try and do something there. Stephen, I'm going back to Ireland as well. So look out for me. Tony, you get the final word. As always.
I hope we get the business done quick and soon. I'm not sure I like the idea that Tierney's likely to go to Newcastle for 30 million. I hate selling to teams in the top four. But like I said, hopefully we get business done. Sorry that I had to run off for 20 or 30 minutes. But life happens.
Life happens, and that's why I stranded Gary all by himself as well earlier.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's good to get. It's good. I forget sometimes how different it is when it's just you on the show by yourself. You can just just let it go. So yeah, that was fun. Thanks. I appreciate being able to help you out in that situation. But
And
yeah,
Matt certainly enjoyed it. There was a sections where Matt was saying, "Preach, Gary, preach! Cut that check, Arsenal. Cut that check." Seriously, we as fans we're at a hostage to Arsenal and what they do. And the Ian Wright video a few years ago, the Nike video, we're hostages to everything the PR department does. We're just asking for the club to match our ambitions. And Arsenal is a club that we love. We've watched Arsenal win trophies over the years, and we've watched City and United compete for an FA Cup. And I'm saying to myself, yes, Gary, we should have beaten City at the Etihad, and we could have been at that final. But hindsight is 2020, right? I understand the reasons why we did it, but next season it's got to change because we've got to go 3 and 4 lanes, Tony. We got to keep this thing cooking for 3 or 4.
They still use 10 starters versus City.
I know. Well, I know, but it was mixed. It was a mixed. The tea wasn't strong enough. Okay, we'll leave it there, Tony. Gary, Stan was on earlier. Alonso was on earlier. We had a sighting of Mahir. Great to see Mahir. Hope you're doing well, Mahir.
Yeah,
Tony,
I was definitely going to say this was definitely the full circle, Arsenal fan circle, because yes, left and came.
There, yeah, everybody was on, right? Stan started off
Yeah.
the show, then
Yeah.
Mahira come in.
Yeah.
You
Everybody
had
had a dip.
Alonso actually showed up for a little bit. So I mean, if you think about the show, that's like our constants, right? Most of our
That's what it
constants are
is.
there.
And
So yeah,
hopefully it's a continuous thing. Hopefully it keeps rolling, and Arsenal fill out those pie segments of the Trivia Pursuit with 4 trophies. We're gonna do the quadruple next year, Gary. That's
nice,
it. We're gonna do the
nice.
quadruple.
Looking forward to
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
You
Well,
have a show on Monday tomorrow, Gary?
Yeah, I think well, right now I'm just checking in with the guys to see if we're gonna have a show. But yeah, either I'll do a show or what I'll try to do is at least push a video out so that you won't be left high and dry when I can. So if I'm away
Yeah.
on vacation, then it's gonna be hard. But I'll try to. What I would like to do is like I used to do like a I think it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I would put out a from the car segment. Well, I actually enjoyed that. It's like 5-10 minutes. I'll try and do that a little bit more when the season comes up and maybe throughout the summer.
Yeah, and listen, I might do the same thing. Drop in a quick live from my phone, whatever I can do. But listen, Tony, take care of yourself, okay? Till I see you again.
I tried to.
Stay healthy.
There
I
you
don't
go,
have
Tony.
to tell Gary. Gary stays healthy.
Hey, when are we going to do our predictions results?
We can do that probably late June. How about that? Last 2 weeks of June, somewhere there.
Sure. That's a little. That's a
You'll
little.
get your moment in the sun. He's feeling quite confident, Gary, that he's winning this thing, right? He must have checked all
Yeah,
the categories.
I don't remember what I said, so yeah.
Tony doesn't
Yeah.
remember what he said either, but there you go. All right, thanks everybody. We do appreciate everybody watching. Take care. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners. Gooners, clear it away. Arsenal all the way.